Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Ninja Paul's Gamesfest. Just let me get this music sorted out. Alright, fade that shit out. You got the Elder Scrolls Online music competing with with the start music. Enough about that. This is a fun thing we're trying out. Hello there! Welcome on in, everybody! Welcome to the show. And happy weekend, of course. Happy Saturday, everyone. Hope you're off to an excellent, excellent start. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Guns Already's hello. Briar Talk Morning. Conjured Samurai. Teenage Mutant Ninja Pulse. Exactly. And Eggbirds, yes, you did see Baldur's Gate. Riot Dog, did you get the quest solved? I do not know. Actually, let's find out. Honestly, I just hoped it would reset if I left it long enough. Today, we are going to take a look at that class survey. I'm not saying we'll finish it on stream. I just thought we'd take a quick look at it, see what's up. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, you can find the link on the ESO website. You can find it in our Discord. It is a survey that I'm guessing they just want to cover their asses in two regards. A, by showing that they are talking to the players and garnering feedback, but also to make sure that they aren't doing anything wildly out of step with what the players actually want. Now, that's important, right? Hey, Brad took my first box arrived 9 a.m. Nice. Well, I really, really hope they did a good job. Gloomfrost, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome on in. Let's see if that quest from yesterday unbugged itself. If you weren't here yesterday, I killed a boss. Not really a boss. Killed a sort of a mini quest boss a little bit too quickly. So fast that I messed up the entire game. I broke ESO. Yeah, all these ads are back here. They weren't here yesterday, so... That bodes well, doesn't it? No Zereth Var? Is he disabled in here? Hello? Hello? They're so flagging down a cab when they summon the companion, aren't they? Hey, Winds Harmony, what's up? I'm up. We're all up. We're ready for another day of Gamesfest. Well, I hope you are. I am. I'm pumped. We've got Baldur's Gate 3 today. It's a big one. And I'm going to flip the script a little bit on you guys today. Because a lot of this has been me talking about games, the experience that I've had with them, what I think, and what I've read in terms of what makes them particularly good, memorable, effective, all of that stuff. And today, I'm not really in a position to do that. I haven't had anywhere near enough time with BG3. To me, it's still a mess. I still don't feel like I'm in a position to explain its popularity or its design choices or anything like that, you know? We're just getting a message from Maya, very exciting. Shit is popping off at her work. So poor old Maya. I'm really going to be pitching to you guys later to give us some good news. for when she comes back on her lunch break. I'm hoping she'll actually get a lunch break today. Ugh. Everyone around her is just being an incompetent fool, basically, and she's having to... Like, it's one of those things. It wouldn't be so bad if you could just do what's in the job description. But because she's running the show and other people are being lazy or rubbish or just generally just lazy and irresponsible, she ends up having to do 10 times more work than she really should. And it turns what should be a reasonable job into an exercise in torture. And she's doing it for us.
Too late. The apex stone is ours.
Right, I'm just going to kill these two first. And now we just kill her with a stampede. How about that? I'm just not going to touch her. Maybe now I'll touch her. There we go. Quest updated. Thank goodness for that. Yesterday, this is where we got stuck. It just said, defeat Madlena Blackvein, and that was it. And it just stayed on there no matter what we did. Bride Talk, a nightmare. Yeah, it is a little bit. I got a Kiwi for free. As in a New Zealander? I used to drive over at the time so they would mention it and hope it would be better next time. Yeah, fair enough. Good for you. Absolutely bring these things up. When a company gives you a delivery slot, and then they just abandon it arbitrarily. Like, what? Come on, guys. Yeah, shortly we'll be popping open that class survey, which Azos have sent out. Like I said, the links to this are on the ESO website. It's in the guild Discord twice in our chat channel. Maya posted it yesterday. I reposted it again this morning. I highly encourage you all to check it out.
Is this how they corrupt the stones and
because
the guardians? Look,
ultimately we all have a lot of
we have to find a way to
comments and gripes and complaints from time to time about the combat system in ESO, or a little trick that they missed, or what we think they should be doing better, differently. And ultimately, if they put out a survey like this, we kind of forfeit the right to complain if we don't go and fill it out. I'm not saying you must. It's your responsibility. But, yeah, if you do have time, absolutely give it a go. So we'll be checking that out in just a minute. Aussie BB, yeah, Craglorns. Craglorn, underrated story, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I said about Ribbon Spire, and it turns out all of you thought it was amazing as well, so I just didn't realize how popular that opinion was.
Are linked. I see now. Split off and use them both before their power fades. Before more arrive.
I understand why this isn't the case, but man, wouldn't it be cool if the upcoming difficulty levels are such that this turns into like a level of... Why can't I use the damn thing? This turns into a Maelstrom Arena level fight. Obviously people can turn that off if they just want the story.
Fascinating. She knew this place was protected by ethereal power.
I think that would work so well. If you look at everything that has ever been written from a game design perspective about difficulty, one of the key things is that it serves the story, right? It's there to reinforce what the writers have done in terms of story. You know, to strengthen that narrative, but also to highlight and showcase and sort of nudge players towards the combat. You know, how does the game work? How has it been designed? And difficulty is there to support those two things. The problem is, of course, when it gets in the way, when you get stuck, or when you feel like it's unfair. But like that just never happens to me in ESO anymore.
We will not fall here.
Oh, This is so fun. Alright, so we are going to have to leave it there for a minute while we're going to do this survey. Like I said, we don't have to do the entire thing.
All along.
It had to be this way. The time for deception is ended.
Bro, I took no of the fruit. I will look. Tomorrow I'll make the first dinner. Today I can't because I have Dungeons and Dragons. Awesome. Amazing. And Eggbird saying, yeah, OMG, tell me about it. I ordered a new coffee grinder, hype, on Thursday and asked for it to be delivered today. They then went ahead and tried to deliver it yesterday, and now the store said, well, it's delivered at a pickup point. But I went there just now, there was no parcel. Oh, no, man. Oh, and the delivery service only says, we're on our way. But it also says it will be delivered on the 26th between 10 and 15. So, yesterday. Rant over. Yeah, no worries, rant away. We can all relate to this.
Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Maya had one of these
Return to Belkarth.
recently where a thing got misposted. Basically, the delivery driver stuck some stickers on the parcels at the beginning of their run, I guess. And then he suspiciously mislabeled two of them. So we got a random bracket for a piece of furniture. We don't even know what it is. Just a random L-shaped piece of metal. And they got some fairly expensive stuff. I mean, we're getting it back, but you know, the company is sending a refund. But like, that is pretty sus, right? Oh, it went to the wrong address. Anyway, we don't have to pay for it, but it's annoying. You know, it's our time, man. Anyway, let's flip on over to this survey. I honestly don't know if this will be an entertaining or useful exercise, but I'm actually going to close the game. And let's fire up this survey right here. There it is. So like I said a couple of times already, this is all linked in the Discord, on the website. Thought I'd put some music on in the background. Once a DHL driver, sounds like Germany and parcels. Those are so annoying. Yeah. Eggbirds, you guys have DHL too? Baldur, once a DHL driver. Good morning, by the way, Baldur. Hope you're having a nice morning. Good morning, everyone. Once a DHL driver delivered the parcels to the wrong pickup store, and the people in the pickup store here were swamped with people wanting to pick up their delivery. Oh my god. It's just a giant nightmare. There we go, nice little music bed in the background there. One got delivered, Briar Dog, but it was put in a mailbox where all the people can pick up their mail. So if I'd not gone right away, someone might have taken it. I sent a message to the ones who sent me the package. They complained for me as I could not complain. My goodness, DHL is German. Yeah, I was going to say. Also, we have Post NL, which isn't perfect, but at least it communicates where my parcel is. It's a part of Deutsche Post. And Bright, so we have a lot of deliveries, so you don't always know who will do it. Yeah, same. It's a real gig economy at this point, isn't it? Eggbirds, whenever I order something and then find out the delivery will be done by DHL. What the hell is that emote? Lekker Anval. Anval. Anyway, enough of that. In the last month, how often have you logged in? Daily, pretty much. I don't think I've missed a day. What are your preferred in-game activities? Group PvE, open world PvP. Honestly, I have done a lot of overland stuff recently. But I don't even know if I'd put any of this on the list. I think I'd just leave it off. Maybe I put that one in there. I literally never do the other two. I mean, it's weird. Questing? Which one's story? I guess it's open world PvE? I'm just gonna leave it. When building a character, where do you first turn for information and guidance? Myself. I use in-game tools like the Level Up Advisor, which was useless when the game launched. And has only become more and more out of date. Goodness me, no. What classes do you play? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Tagu, hi. Survey? Yes, indeed. We're doing a survey. Don't worry, we're probably not going to do the whole thing. But I thought, A, you know, I need to fill this out. B, it might be fun to talk about with you guys. Because you guys are all smart as hell. And collectively, I feel like this chat is one of the most useful resources that Zos could draw upon, frankly. I feel like you guys contain within you the answer to all our woes. Hartanfall. Yeah, okay. Hartanfall. It's Hjerteanfall in Danish, so yeah, that's actually pretty similar. Heart attack. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, Baldur, correct reaction. What is this question you talk about, Raveslord? There are a lot of questions. Yeah, I know. There are like 21 questions for each class. Most of them are just like one click. I've already looked at this, by the way. I just didn't fill it out. Didn't finish filling it out. For the following questions, we'd like you to think about how you perceive each class and what you would expect regarding its design and play. Sorry, I'm doing the cheesy voice. Oh, we're still on Ninjapol's Parcel Cast. Feel free, guys. Get it out. Let it all out. Vent. And those of you on YouTube watching, sorry, we got a lot of like debate and heart-rending stories. Bearing of the soul in terms of nightmare scenarios regarding parcel deliveries. So there we go. Let me actually do a little thing. There we go. Just gonna update the look of this thing slightly. But Lord, last year I got so many DHL parcels, they rang and dropped it in the corridor. Even when I wasn't home, they just dropped it on the stairs. They don't have permission to leave parcels this way, but they just do it anyway. Yeah, I've seen that. And often, sometimes I don't mind. Like, something requires a signature, but I find that it just dumped. I was like, well, I would rather that than I have to wait for a redelivery or schedule a redelivery or have to go and pick it up myself. So, yeah, I do understand why it happens, but it depends on the place. It sounds like, in your case, that isn't ideal at all. Dumping it in the corridor? What? No. Chaku, I am not smart. Only a smart person would say that. Huh? Huh? What kind of person goes around calling themselves a genius? A very stable genius. Only a completely unstable idiot would say such a thing, Tiago. So, touché, I think. Eggbirds, I once ordered a B-stock guitar online at a shop for the first and last time. Got delivered by DHL. Guitar was wrecked. What the fuck? Oh, you guys have got worse stories than I do. Damn. Yeah, Bright, I guess I'll fill this one out as well. Yeah. Edwards, I was so hyped to have my coffee grinder on my first free weekend of the month. Oh, the crying parrot, man. It gets me every time. No. Oh, yeah, it's first world problems, right? Oh, you're crying about the fact that you don't have your coffee grinder. Wah, wah, wah. But, come on. If you're in a position to be excited about a coffee grinder arriving, you're gonna be bummed as hell when it's delayed or when it doesn't arrive. So yeah, don't feel weird about that. That's absolutely normal. I've complained at times, Broatop, because I'm not as mobile as some other people, so I really don't want to pick up at a drop-off point. I don't think anyone wants to do that, but yeah, particularly if there are issues to you personally. Diogo, yeah, you are right about that. Or maybe you need to grind some DHL driver's fingers. Oh, we had a broken front door at the time because someone broke the glass? What? Right, so I can understand why I don't drink coffee. Yeah, I mean, if it were, I don't know, if you were, I don't know, you got one of those soda dispensers? Or, I'm trying to think of something vaguely equivalent. Alright, how much do you agree or disagree? Clear design inspiration behind Arcanist. Yeah, agree. Arcanist skill lines match the class theme. You don't have to quibble these, guys. I'm just saying, shooting from the hip here. Arcanist class's unique appearance, absolutely, yep. Has opportunities to form a unique playstyle. Actually, it does. Just maybe strongly agree. Oh, it's not. No, I'm just gonna say agree. The match the theme. That's tricky. What theme? It's supposed to be about fate and runes, and I don't really see like damage types and siphoning like the Nightblade has, the DK dealing flame damage, the Templar having channels which reflect their sort of holy vengeance theme. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it does. Like it's quite difficult to do. I think my response is going to be neutral for a lot of these. That setting up the stats so that they are in line with a particular theme. I don't know, man. That's a difficult thing to do. I don't think it's even that necessary. All right, maybe you guys disagree with that one. Unique doesn't mean fun or good. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, someone broke it and just left the glass lying around. Really nice. For several weeks, it was fixed with cardboard and duct tape. Yeah, I can get with that. Yeah, Brian Talk, I was about to ask that as well. We can't read their minds or know what they want. 2Z Point, where do I find this survey? This is on the... If you're on our Discord, the Ninja Balls Discord, I just posted it in chat earlier. Alternatively, you can go to Elder Scrolls... Can't type for shit. Oh, give me a break. Well, whatever. If you go to the Elder Scrolls website, it's right here. Share your thoughts on ESO's classes with us. And I encourage everyone to do it. It is going to take a hot minute to do. So yeah, that's that. The Arcanist has abilities and passives within its skill lines that are effective while subclassed. Yeah. There are clear strengths and weaknesses. No. Like, what weaknesses? The channel? The fact that you're committed to a channel, if you get interrupted, that's a bummer. I don't know, there's nuance there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to say strongly disagree. No. It doesn't... What weaknesses? Like, what are we talking about here? There are ways to work around your weaknesses and enhance the strength that Arcanist offers. Yep. In your opinion, Arcanist class is best at... Well, I'm going to say damage dealing. How much do you agree or disagree? I have the tools to play Arcanist as a tank. Yeah, absolutely. How effective is it at tanking without subclassing? Oof. Maybe an 8? It's pretty fucking good. Because Curative Runeforms has some nice stuff in it as well. And you don't often use it on a tank, but you could use Recuperative Treaties on a tank. It's not bad, it's not the worst. And you can use the stacking rune as well, the rune of displacement. You know, these are potentially useful things. We don't tend to use them because there's limited space and we have other more important priorities. But yeah, the Arcanist tank is actually pretty good. Are the tools to play Arcanist as a healer? Sure. It's actually pretty good as a healer. Yeah, again, I would say, how effective is it as a healer without subclassing? That's tricky. Maybe I'll knock that down a point because Warden and Nightblade are always going to take the top spots. Without subclassing. Keep that in mind, guys. The tools to play Arcanist as a DPS. Yeah, obviously. How effective is it? 10. Just no question. Are there any Arcanist abilities you would never want to change? Any suggestions here? I'll give you guys a minute. I can't think of any. There are no Arcanist abilities that I'm so attached to. Like, I wouldn't really want them to mess with crystal fragments, for example. I wouldn't want them to get rid of relentless focus. They can tweak how they work, how much damage they do, but ideally, like the fundamentals, I would not want those to change. So, you know, based on that interpretation, the class taunt, leave that alone, you think? Impervious Rune Ward and Flail. But would you like be really bummed if they changed them? I don't think I would care at all if they changed any of it. Like, I'm open. I don't think they need to. I like the animations and functionality of the Arcanist, the sound design. I like all of that stuff. I think they could just mess with the numbers, redistribute abilities, passives, that kind of thing. I can't think of anything that I would never want them to change. Right, Doug, don't know enough about the Arcanist, it's only 38. Well, feel free to skip that part of the survey then. This is the thing, you don't have to do all of it. You tick the classes you want to talk about. And that you play, and then they will ask you the questions. So you just tick 1 or 3 or whatever. I just clicked all 7 because I play all roles, all classes. Yeah, going back to chat, Eggbirds, that sounds horrible, about the smashed door window, yeah. But Lord, yeah, it was not all. During that time, the house's heating was broken, so the front door wasn't fully closed and no heater. Oh my god. We had this... we had a plumbing team come around to make some minor changes to our boiler in our old house, but we were living in like a Victorian, a pre-Victorian, like a Georgian house in Bristol. Really, really old. So, I think it was built in around 1870, something like that. So it was, you know, it was modern enough to be comfortable, but like all the plumbing, electrics, all of that was obviously old as fuck. And a lot of it wasn't even up to spec. So we got some people over. All they needed to do was change a pump, but they put like their oldest, most decrepit, retarded guy on the job, and he messed everything up. He completely messed it up, so we had to like fire them and bring in some certified plumbing people from British Gas, because they have like a plumbing... I know gas and plumbing aren't the same thing, but they have, or they certainly used to, they had like a department that dealt with that stuff as well. And this was in the middle of winter. It was in the middle of like a cold snap of snow. So we're living in this like extremely old house with very, very high ceilings, windows that you are not allowed to double glaze. Like, it's a planning restriction. It's protected. You can't double glaze these houses because they need to have the original wooden windows. It's the law. So yeah, we were freezing our fucking nadgers off in that place. That was awful. And it was only like 6-7 days, but it was so bad. At least I was going to work. I was going to work in a heated office. Maya was running her cookery school out of the basement. She was literally opening the oven doors and like turning them on in the mornings. Like the most incredibly inefficient way to heat a room. I suppose we had underfloor heating in the kitchen. Back then we don't have that anymore. So that was alright, but yeah, it really sucked. Hey, how's it going? Brad Talk, I'm pretty sure it's not set up with an autistic person in mind. We tend to take stuff pretty literally. I see the survey, you mean? Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, most things aren't set up with much regard for people on the spectrum, though. It's a difficult thing. There needs to be like a general shift towards that, like wheelchair access. I feel like that's mostly happened. Certainly in anything that's like being newly constructed, you tend to take that. What Runeblades morph do I want? Either. Like, just read the tooltips and do you want more single target? Do you want a little bit of splash? I would guess, generally, you'd rather have the splash damage. But, yeah. The single target DPS difference is pretty small, actually. But for solo, I wouldn't probably use Runeblades. I know that's not what you asked. Yeah, Baldur already heard people complain about the survey because they added questions without subclassing. They believe that everyone is using subclassing. I know so many players who refuse to use the system. Yeah, I guess we'll see, but this is okay. I think they're asking about the non-subclassed. All the questions are about non-subclassed Arcanists, aren't they? Or is this like a thing at the end of the survey that I've yet to get to? And Kev, if the Glyphic ulti was any better, non-subclassed Arc Tank would probably still be top tier. It's pretty high up, isn't it? Like, you would often see a DK and an Arcanist tank. See some Sorks and Necros in there as well. For group utility. But yeah, Arcanist tank is definitely up there. I'm with you on that one. That was my personal answer. Yeah, I love the parry aspect of the Rune Ward shield. But it's so strong. Like, it's fucking busted. You don't even have to block in most content with that thing. So, sure, it's fun, but would I never want them to touch it? Absolutely not. That's not... Do you know what I mean? I think that is... But that's your personal take. If you're like, I would probably not play the class if they took that away, then yeah, we should put that in. I'm just going to put none there. I don't think there's anything that I'm super strict about. Go for it, guys. Are there any Arcanist abilities you'd like to see rethought or reworked? You know what? I'm not even going to... Since we just talked about it. Impervious Rune Ward often feels far too strong, allowing you to tank DLC trial hard mode bosses. And barely ever have to block. Fake cover does way too much, offers way too much. One of the best sources of DPS in the game. Whilst also providing tons of cleave, a free shield, great sustain, and an extremely easy playstyle. Someone would even go so far as to say boring. Borting. I'm leaning weirdly because the mic and I have to lean right for the microphone, but my hands have to go left for the keyboard, so let me just readjust my desk setup a little bit here. So I'm sitting a bit more naturally. It's affecting my ability to type slightly. I think that covers it, doesn't it? It just does too much. Like, nerf the damage, get rid of the survivability, I don't know. But do something. Arcanists are great for Tales of Tribute in my experience. Splishy splashy it is. Sounds interesting. Tell me more, Mr. Khan. Baldur, I got this old building across the street. The facade is protected. When they changed stuff a few years ago, it was so expensive. And when the first snow fell, parts of the roof didn't even stand the weight of it. Yikes. Alright, we didn't have anything that bad. How does pure Arcanist tank compare to Earthenheart Winter's Embrace something tank? I mean, it just has less, right? You'll end up using more scribed abilities. The passives, it's always the same with subclassing. Anything you guys think I've missed there that's like major? Impervious Rune Ward often feels far too strong, allowing you to tank DLC trial hard mode bosses and barely ever having to block. Fate Carver offers way too much. It is one of the best sources of DPS in the game, whilst also providing tons of... I'm not being specific here, like, yes, you can get more single target damage. It's one of the most reliable, let's say, most reliable sources of DPS in the game, whilst also providing tons of cleave, a free shield, great sustain, and an extremely easy playstyle. Some would even go so far as to say, boring. Anything else? Let's have a look. Welcome on in, everybody. If you just joined us, good morning, good morning. Happy weekend. We are going to do some ESO. We're just going to have a look at... I don't know, we're going to do some of these... This is the official survey from Zos. We're just going to do a few of the classes on this thing. Arcanist is like probably the main one, isn't it? That we have stuff to say about. Brad Talk, that's why everyone wants to play it. With it in most subclasses. Yeah, right. And Brad Talk, I've heard that before, yes. Kev, I think that's a slightly more unique answer for this section. Rune Mend is quite a terrible ability for self-heal. That's true. But... yeah, it's weird when they do that. The single target burst heal. Why not make that a health-based heal? Because no healer... yes, but then you've got the PvP folks. Yeah, it's just weird. You see excited new players running Breath of Life and Rune Mend. Because, oh, this is a great burst heal. Look at the tooltip on that thing. It's like, you should never be burst healing your group with that. Well, sometimes. But there are relatively few instances, you're right, where a healer should be thinking about it, healing a single target. But that's a more general point. But Kev, yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Any other feedback on the Arcanist class that you'd like to share? I'm a Breath of Life hater. That's the thing. I guess I put myself in that category too, but we shouldn't hate it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just... It sort of sells itself as a really useful thing, when in fact it isn't. It really isn't for group play. But obviously in PvP, stuff like this is amazing. And you see people use it very effectively. What's wrong with Breath of Life? It's a single target heal. So a lot of healers see it and think, oh, this is amazing, I'm going to run it. It's not the skill itself, I would argue. It is is the fact that it kind of sells itself as a strong thing to use in group content. But even in a dungeon where you've only got 4 people to heal, you don't really want to be using a heal like that. It's not the right way to approach it. Use HOTS and something like Combat Prayer that hits everyone, for instance. Or Blessing of Protection if people already have the Minor Berserk and the Minor Resolve. Yeah, exactly, Baldur. When it's it's like a red flag. It's not necessarily like you see very, very good healers using it. Say you're on Tomb Duty in Sunspire. There are a bunch of single target heals you might well use. And I've seen a really good healer barely even step out of the stack. They place a heart into the tomb, and they just turn and face the player in the tomb. 2 Breath of Lives later, I think they actually used Honor the Dead, but 2 Honor the Deads later, and that person is out of the tomb. So if you just build for really, really high single target burst healing, it absolutely has its utility. And in PvP, yeah, it's really good. Or it can be really good. It's all about how you use it. But healers slotting it and then like having a bunch of damage abilities and then running around spamming Breath of Life, it's a red flag, and it's a very commonly referenced red flag, Just going to turn the music up a little bit. There we go. My healer is still low level. And Kev, I feel like most people would consider the curative rune forms as a line with still super strong, so it would be against any buff. But they could replace curative rune forms with literally anything else. Imagine if Fate Carver was moved over there unchanged, would solve the issue almost immediately. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, before scribing it was often Honor the Dead for the Tomb Baldur. Yeah. Yeah, no, I got what you meant, Kev. Rune Mend, yeah. Now the music seems too loud. I feel like there's a lag on the volume actually changing. Another Pla red flag is Ritual of Rebirth spamming. Maybe. Do you have any other feedback on the Arcanist class you'd like to share? Please consider spreading out damage and support abilities / passives between skill lines. This would obviously apply to other classes too, e.g. Warden. Although Warden isn't maybe the best example. Necromancer might be a better example. But it could remedy many of the gaps / shortcomings of subclassing as it stands. I'll just copy that. I have a feeling we might be typing that out again. Next up, Dragon Knight. As for the theme, I don't know, Pragmatic Fate Carver has a shield, so it fits in curative. Yeah. I also think the healing beam is not performing very well. What we're doing, Rich, talking about skills and eating chocolate cinnamon polenta. Lovely. Good start before this. A prepared setups for VSS tonight. Nice. Alright, there's a clear design inspiration by the Dragon Knight class. Yep. How much you'd maybe strongly agree. The skills match the theme. I agree. Has a unique appearance. Yeah. It has opportunities to form a unique playstyle. Agree, not strongly. But yeah, it does have its thing. The ult the sustain situation. The class abilities and passives match the class theme. It's weird. It's not really to do with subclassing. Like, on the face of it. This is not about subclassing. I mean, clearly it is, but yeah. Alright. How much do you agree or disagree? It has abilities and passives that are effective while subclassed. I mean, yeah, it does. There are clear strengths and weaknesses, yeah. There are ways to work around your weaknesses. I'm not so sure about that. No, I guess it depends how we define the weaknesses. Tanking. It's best at tanking. I kind of have to put that, even though, again, nuanced answers, there's no room for that, so I'm just going to be very simplistic about it. But order, the Arcanist from... I think the healing beam does have some use in rescuing tanks who won't stand still. I just literally never see anyone use it. Like once or twice. I'm not even kidding. Other than people messing around with it to see if it works or what they can do with it. If you treat, you know, the end game player base as a sort of crucible that all these things pass through, and if they come out the other side and they're not being used, that doesn't necessarily mean that the thing, the set, the ability, the class in question is bad, but it does. Generally, it does mean something. Right? There's a reason these things aren't represented. I think the people who use the healing beam, it tends to be because they want to. Maybe I've got the wrong idea there. Didum, hey, we are in the midst of a survey here. If apologies to you guys if you've already filled this out and this is all old news to you. Feel free to tell us what you put. It's not about anyone telling anyone else what to think or what to say. The whole point is for us to be honest, think about our responses and make sure that, yeah, we've thought it through. But yeah, I have the tools to play Dragon Knight as a tank, yeah. How effective is it without subclassing? Compared to the others? I'm just going to have to put 10. That's the thing. It's not really the tankiness of it, is it? It's the utility that it provides. Molten weapons and Stone Giant. It's just so useful. Are the tools to play Dragon Knight as a healer? I mean, you can, but there's just no reason. Although a lot of the reason for that is that you never need one. You always have a Dragon Knight tank or a DPS. So why would you waste one of your healing spots on a Dragon Knight? Now maybe I'll nudge that one into disagree. How effective is it without subclassing? It's actually fine, but I'll give it a 4 because it's like it's too far down the list. It's not that Dragon Knight healers are shit. It's just that the uniqueness they would bring has got very little to do with healing power. It's all to do with other buffs, and they're probably represented in the group already. So that's kind of a difficult one, but I'm just going to say 4. And Kev, there may be a PvE encounter in future that benefits the heal beam. I hope not. Or at least I hope, if so, it's not like you have to use the heal beam here. That's bad design if that happens, you know what I mean? But yeah, there may be a high tick rate of healing. Because that's the main thing it offers, isn't it? And fun. You know, it's fun to use. Beam is useful in VSC hard mode at Yazela. Yeah, again, I've seen it used once in Yazela hard mode, and the healer switched it after the the third pull or something. They'd say, yeah, it's fun, but I don't think it's helping. And it's buggy as well, which is probably one of the other reasons. Anyway, welcome on in. Welcome to Ninja Pulse. We will get back to the game soon. Just having a look at these. I want to encourage you guys to fill this out. This survey is available on the Elder Scrolls Online website. It's right there at the top of the news section. If you want to fill it out, I encourage you to do so. It gives us license to bitch about the game. Basically, if we do these things when they make them available. Alright, let's have a look. I have the tools to play Dragon Knight as a DPS. Yep. How effective is it without subclassing? I mean, these are difficult to answer. I don't know. I'm assuming they want me to compare all the classes without subclassing, right? I would still put DK at an 8. Probably Necro is 9, Arcanist is 10, and all the others are probably a 6 or a 7. Like, they're fine, but why would you use them when there's this? In group content especially, like, I'm making a ton of assumptions here. I'm talking about trials. Not everyone is going to do that. But whatever, I can only operate on these assumptions, you know? But yeah, guys, if you see anything you think I'm missing, let me know. Let's go a little bit faster. Are there any Dragon Knight abilities you never want to change? No, but please be careful if messing with Talons, Standard, Whip, or Flames of Oblivion. These are popular and fun to use. It would be a shame if they were fundamentally altered. Dragonblood isn't a nice tank self-heal. I mean, I don't know, before subclassing was a thing, it never really occurred to me to complain about it. Like, I never, ever struggled. DK always feels so strong. Like, every time I'd go back on my DK tank is one of the ones I use the least. Because it's sort of the vanilla tanking class for me. So before subclassing, I would often be on a Necro, a Warden in dungeons, an Arcanist, a Sorcerer. I'd even Nightblade tank quite a bit. I never did Templar tanking because I wasn't interested. It's perfectly easy to do. But whenever I would switch to the Dragon Knight, like for our Godslayer group, we didn't have a tank, so I had to do it. I'd literally never main tanked the hard modes before on any class. And I just stepped right in there with the DK and it was like, oh, this is so easy. This is so easy on the Dragon Knight. It's so chill and fun because of Stagger. It gives you something to do, but you never feel like there's that much struggle. Chaining, I think literally the only bit, there were 2 bits that were sort of squeaky bum time, and those had nothing to do with tanking. It was just chaining in the Atros on Yolnakrin, which we still did then, the little ones, and just taunting the entire room, because I was the only tank in the group, really. So the big ads that come when Navintus takes off, most groups have 2 people to taunt everything. We just had 1 healer taking 2 ads, and I took everything else. And I knew if I missed a taunt in those first 4 seconds, someone was probably going to die. And if we had a Deathless all the way to Navintus, that was kind of horrible. The pressure of bullseyeing every ad there every time, that could be a little bit tricky, but that's got nothing to do with anything here. Any Dragon Knight abilities you would like to see rethought or reworked? I mean, Obsidian Shard is just pointless. Yeah, actually, passives. I'm just going to open up UESP on my other... alongside this. There's some really... Hey, Moose! Da-da-da! Subclassing. I'm Nicey. In my opinion, they shouldn't let you change one. I mean, that would take a lot of the fun out of it. I think all that would do is just make the job easier for the devs. Maybe they should have done that initially, and then say, we'll let you choose two next year once we're sure that this whole thing works, you know? Is it in Draconic Power? There were some really dumb ones. No, that's fine. It's Earthen Heart and Ardent Flame. They have a couple of stupid passives. Yeah, Eternal Mountain. Increase duration of your Earthen Heart abilities by 20%. Eternal Mountain, and what's the Ardent Flame one? I fully admit I don't have all of these in my head. Searing Heat. Searing Heart. The Eternal Mountain and Searing Heat passives are pointless. Please consider extending the affected abilities at base and creating more interesting passives instead. I'll be amazed if any of you disagree with that, but let me know. Baldur got 6 tanks, didn't bother to get Pla. I'm going to have 2 Templars, so one of them is set up for tanking. One is set up for mag and heals. The other one is set up for... Well, frankly, all of my characters can do all 4 roles, if they have to. It's just I pick the one with the most appropriate race. And Kev saying, I think even buffs aside, DK class group healing options are a bit worse than others. Cinderstorm is so tiny. Yeah, but you got to remember that we don't use that many class abilities on a healer. That's one of the reasons. Of course we use some. That's one of the reasons supports are affected a little bit less by the whole subclassing thing. Damage is affected the most because suddenly it's like, ooh, goody, look at all these amazing things we can now stuff on our bars. Who's using Whirling Blades as a spammable anymore? Or who's using Rapid Strikes? Or, like, no one. Or Wrecking Blow. It's just, yeah, Carve in trash. It's not happening anymore because we've got access to all these incredibly awesome class abilities that we can use. Supports didn't have as much room for that stuff. You know, we've already got things taken up by, usually, Ascribing Taunt, Ascribing Chain, in the case of a tank. I mean, maybe you've got Flare slotted. You've got an ult slotted on the front bar for passive reasons, an ult slotted on the back bar for buff reasons. You got your Blockade, you've got your, maybe you've got Flare. Yeah, there's just not a ton of space left, so it's just less exciting inherently, and that's why it doesn't feel like a particularly bad trade if you have, for example, Winter's Embrace, Earthen Heart, and then Gravelord, or Daedric Summoning on your tank. Now, there's nothing in Gravelord or Daedric Summoning in the passives or the active abilities that we're really going to use for tanking. Probably not. But we don't really mind, because we already have enough stuff. Yeah, but Lord, I would say a friend of mine solo healed Yolnahad mode on DK. That's because they're good, not because DK is good. Do you know what I mean? It's all about the group utility. But well, people often get the impression that DK heals are bad. They're not. They have access to just as much healing as everyone else. It's just, why would you bring that? But, you know, we're talking pre-subclassing. Why would you bring that unless your group needs and doesn't have molten weapons and stagger? Or minor brutality. If they need the minor brutality and they don't have it, then, yeah. Absolutely, I've seen DK heals being brought for that exact reason. But keeping up stagger on a healer is a pain in the dick. It really is. In fact, I've done that in VSS. Just for the lols. I see talons pretty often just not work. They don't work on bosses, remember. Like, so you won't even see them appear. Because the boss is immune. So the damage is there. But the tank version of talons just won't do shit. And Kev saying the heal morph of Stagger is like a worse version of the Nightblade siphoning skill. Yeah, which is already pretty rubbish. And hey Aaron, how's it going? Brad Dog have a Templar tank which is not fully built. Need more champion points. And Nicely saying, yeah, it's true, it's fun making a lot of different builds. I still think you're onto something. Like, if they were to just roll out subclassing in 2 steps. You know? So you have to keep 2 of your OGs. And you can change 1. That would have bought them a bit of breathing space. I wonder. It's easy to do this with hindsight. But the dissatisfaction, we talked about this already. I don't think people are necessarily being objective when they throw their hands in the air and say, oh, I'm not going to play until they fix this stuff. It's like, it's not like the game is like ruined. You know, the balance is unplayable. So I don't quite understand that take. I think that is to do with people being frustrated by a lack of communication. More than anything else. But, you know, Bethesda aren't exactly communicating with me about Skyrim right now. It's not going to affect my desire to install it and play. It's kind of... it's not wrong, but it isn't objective, I think. And it's got more to do with frustration at the individual level than it has anything to do with the state of the game right now. Or at least I can't marry the two. And I've even asked people who are like taking a break or who are unimpressed. It's like, you know, what is it about the game that's so difficult for you to play right now? And some people have a good answer. Like if they're in score push groups and they say, well, there's no way we can break our record this patch. It's not going to happen. Can't do it. And then I say, well, okay, that's fair enough, but why not just go and prog a trial that you haven't done in a while? But yeah, if you guys are bored, then, you know, take a break. But I think I hope it's going to be a very long time before we get a patch that was as broken as Update 46 in terms of power spike. So by that logic, Score Push should be dead now for the next 3 years. Or whatever. So even then, I'm not sure it is a logical thing. It is a very subjective thing. But yeah, I get it. If there's a group who derives a whole ton of fun in just breaking their personal bests, and the work required to do that now because they've lost so much power is going to be massive. But that is like not even close to 0.1% of the player base who can realistically claim that. So yeah, the rest of the stuff I've asked, and I feel like it's personal stuff. And any Dragon Knight abilities you would like rethought or reworked? Yes, please make Magma Shell a regular ability with a 60-second duration, no cooldown. Yeah, hilarious. Feels like it's taking too much away from base classes. I'm nicey. Yeah, I mean it is, but that was always the trade-off. There's, I think there are things they could and perhaps should do to mitigate that, and they haven't said anything about that yet. I guess they don't want to commit one way or the other, but I at least hope they are looking into it and seeing what they could do. Even if it's something as boring as, for every one of your original class lines that you keep, you get an escalating damage buff. So maybe 0% with 1 line, 2% with 2 lines, 5% with 3 lines. Even if it's just something like that. But then, you know, what do tanks get out of it and all this stuff? I think they're right to be careful about catering to that knee-jerk mindset. Oh, well, you've buffed this thing over here. I've now been left behind. And for reasons I'm not going to explain to you, I don't want to follow the power in this game. So could you please buff the thing that I'm running? Even though I could easily just switch to something else. That is a slippery slope for them. I think this is a stronger case than they usually get. You know, please buff my class. Like, we can all say that. There's more of a coherent case, obviously, for buffing pure Sork. Because people have fallen in love with it. They've been playing it for 11 years, maybe. And yeah, it'll chop and change over the years, but they don't want to have to switch to something else. But the fact is, Sork has been close to useless in a lot of trials for a long time now anyway, because it cannot even begin to compete with the level of cleave damage pumped up by Necromancers, Dragon Knights, Arcanists. Even Warden is ahead both in single target and cleave damage. So the more you dig into these questions and arguments, the more sympathy I begin to feel for the devs and in there, because they've got to be searching for a consistent, logical approach to everything, right? They are trying to set up rules for themselves so that further down the line, they've already decided, if this happens, here's what we will do. And it's just a nightmare. Anyway. Beam's still the meta? It depends. For a lot of things, yes, because the free cleave, the free sustain, the good single target damage is not the best single target damage. Not even close. But it's so dependable and consistent, and all the passives that come with it are really good. So yes. Sort of. But Lord, made my builds for tonight. Didn't have space for siphoning attacks because so many other skills needed. DK's got really high healing numbers. Nobody used it because the buffs are already provided by others. Nobody in the group wanted to play DK at the time. Yeah. I'm nice to see that's valid. Thank you. And Brightsong, I play no matter what they do. I just play it my way. Yep. I'm going to do the same thing. I will play things that I think are fun, things that I think are weird and goofy. But in trials, I will just go where the group needs me to go. And that's usually going to be a comp that has been organized by the raid lead. Or it'll be in groups that are a bit more chill. Just me making sure I can bring as much as possible to the group. But with plenty of flexibility. Like if I want a Templar tank, no one's going to complain. I have groups like that. It's only if I'm doing a bad job, that's when people will be like, alright, maybe change the build. Because then you're Sork, yes! Lord, I stopped for 3 months when update 35 dropped. Was so frustrated because the light attack changes, taking in power away. Really? This didn't bother me at all. I was pissed off with the devs for, like, enraging the end game or the late game players. And worst of all, they unintentionally created massive enmity. They inflamed the enmity where casuals think the elite players are, like, out to get them and gatekeeping and stuff like that. The devs made that so much worse by fucking up the initial version of update 35. Fuck up is maybe a bit strong, but... and they walked back a bunch of those changes. But how many players really keep up with what's happening during PTS? They don't. They won't often... if there's a YouTube video about something, they'll get as far as the thumbnail. And they'll see, oh, Skinny Cheeks isn't happy. This upcoming patch must be really bad. And they don't notice the fact that 2 weeks later, Skinny's putting out a video, or Ninja Balls is putting out a video, or whoever, saying, thank fuck, these changes are being reversed. And the patch that's going live is nowhere near as bad as it would have been. Yeah, let's not get back into that. Nixo, I'm using this DK skill line on my healer and main tank. Those skills, passives, which DK skill line? I'm using this DK skill line. Sorry. Not sure which one you meant. And Kev, slightly related, did subclassing enable any new skips in Trials or Dungeons? Like one phase Lucent first boss or something? Yeah. Yeah, loads. Loads of skips that were only accessible to a very, very serious group are now accessible to randoms, practically. Like, the power spike was unbelievable. Of course, randoms aren't going to get it, because the people who tend to build for effectiveness in their own setup will also tend to seek out others who do the same. So it's a self-perpetuating thing. The people who aren't that bothered about how much damage they do also get lumped in with the tank who doesn't really care about buffing the group. And the healer who just wants to have a little bit of fun and doesn't, you know, isn't necessarily built, you know, it's because it's frustrating if you build your healer to really effectively buff the group and then you end up with a couple of DDs who are running around, a tank that dies all the time so the boss is moving, and you're just, yeah, you're not going to tolerate that experience. It's like it's like cooking a lovely meal and then everyone shows up and has a food fight with it. You're not going to do it again, or you'll take that lovely meal and serve it to some other people who are actually going to appreciate it and who have the same goal as you. So it's theoretically yes, Kev, but in practice, I guess maybe not so much. But you see a lot of very, very average trial groups, and I don't mean that in an unkind way. I mean groups that aren't like, they're not being particularly sweaty. They're quite chill. They let people bring whatever they want. They are suddenly getting trifectas that were out of their reach, or that they would have worked much harder for, getting skips that were out of their reach before, things like this. That happens. That happens every time with an easy power spike like this. And H-Snacks. And Nice was saying, I forgot the dungeon name, but the final boss guy that turns into the bear, you can skip his breath mechanic with 3 subclass DDs. Really? So Archdruid Devirik you're talking about at the end of Earthenroot Enclave? That's hilarious. Sork is my favourite for sure, but I don't really know why. It just is. But I don't bring it to trials anymore, yeah. Had a PvP player, sorry, my lord, I had a PvP player in Earthenroot Enclave 2 days ago on NA. Dude was jumping around, permanently draining my resources, because I had to recast stuff. Yeah, this is that kind of thing. Guns and Raiders. I stand for a raid boss having a shield until the mechanic is over. The skipping of stuff defeats the purpose of learning? I don't agree. The hardcore players are the ones not skipping and working it out together. I don't agree with that at all. I think, yeah, you shouldn't be able to walk in and skip mechanics. I agree with that part, but putting in more immunity phases so that the groups who are really, really getting organized can't enhance their time and their personal bests, no way. I reject that. That would kill the end game completely. And then if we could create a parallel dimension, I would love to see this, because I'm sure about this. If we created a parallel dimension where Zos or we, the players, killed the end game, and all the people who are sweaty, optimizing in trials, getting better, and enjoying that process, if they were just to leave and go and do something else with their time, the game would wither on the fucking vine. It would die. I'm certain of it. Within a year, it would be reduced to a desert with a few people wandering around questing, or role-playing, or housing. I could be wrong, but everything I know about the community tells me that would happen. Is there any other feedback on the Dragon Knight class that you guys can think of? Dwelling Talons used to be extremely popular. Is now locked behind a skill line which is pretty much useless for group DPS. And then we'll just copy and paste the other one. Please consider spreading out damage and support abilities, passives between skill lines. One way to fix this would be to spread out damage and support abilities slash passives between skill lines. The odd sound was just Maya messaging me. Nixo, Earthen Heart. Use Earthen Heart on a healer. Interesting. Sorry, that sounds really dismissive. I'm guessing that's because you don't have a tank doing it? Like, which is what we said before. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about that. So the only reason to bring a DK healer is if you don't have those cool buffs that the DK tank would normally bring. Then a DK healer makes a ton of sense. But people misinterpret that. They see the unpopularity or the absence of DK healers and think, oh, that must mean they're really bad. No, it doesn't. Undo the magma shell changes. No. Why? Why would anyone want them to undo the magma shell changes? Just so we can go back to, like, incredibly easy Reef Guardian hard mode. I don't know. I thought that felt like kind of a cheat. And it wasn't easy for the tank. The tank had to learn it. And that always takes a few sessions. I've watched a couple of tanks have to learn how to do that. But it wasn't the way it was ever intended to work. I don't think. I think the devs have made that clear. Immunity phase is the most annoying thing in the game. Yeah. Maybe so. Not keen on them myself. Governor, I'd rather play a game than cheese it. But it's not cheesing it, though, is it? When you see a really good group make a really difficult skip, do you think that's cheesing it? If you are if it's something that you can just put together in a comp, and then you are guaranteed by comp, I mean the composition of the raid group. And then there's not much skill involved. It's just the theory crafting behind it. Then I sort of agree. That's a little bit dismal. But I want it to be a thing where if everyone's uptimes are really good and they're taking a fight which they can easily clear. This fight is piss easy for this group to clear now. It's not a question of whether they clear it. It's just a question of how fast they go and if one person might die. Or one or two people, you know? There are loads of groups like that in the game. And we're not talking score pushing here. Or trifectas. I'm just talking about groups that could get through all three hard modes in Lucent. Alright, the first two hard modes in Lucent Citadel pretty easily with maybe a couple of deaths in Trash, a couple of deaths on each boss. There are loads of groups who can do that, okay? And if it's just a matter of putting together a comp that means we will get that skip, then I agree. But if it's a matter of taking that fight, which is already quite easy for them, but keeping it fresh, because they can go faster and be more efficient if all the DDs do this, if the supports on each side have perfect uptime on this and that debuff or buff, if the tanks are going crazy with their with their stagger. You know, all of these little things that add up. The PA uptime is just beautiful, you know? Minor Berserk, Major Slayer, all of that stuff is worked out and beautifully executed in a cooperative, like, coordinated manner. If that is what creates the skip, no, I want to protect that completely. It is one of the few chases in this game that genuinely pays off. Because think about the other chases that you do for a gear set or for scribing. When you're done, you don't feel like, yeah, that was awesome, let's do that again. You think, thank fuck that's over. You know, it's kept you occupied, but it's not a satisfying thing to complete. That chase that I just described absolutely is. And it can take years if you want it to. You can slow roll it, or you could be one of those people who dives in and watches a million videos and theory crafts very, very quickly and pushes so they get very high up the ladder in the game by the time they're CP 300. That's fine as well. But the point is, there is a big fat reward and an ongoing reward in the pleasure of the teamwork and the game and your interaction with it. That's why the combat system in this game is so good. It's not win or lose, or like hit or miss. It's hit. How hard do we hit? How satisfying do we hit? Brightsog, you don't get the I want to be better all the time? Maybe it's like you have to have your first dose of it before the drug has any kind of effect. Maybe that's a part of it. Hey, Vectora! Thank you very much for the raid. Sorry we didn't get the usual noise. We're in the middle of a survey right now, so I'm gonna dip out of this because it's not very interesting. We're having an interesting conversation though. But thank you so much for the raid, everybody. Show some love to Vectora. Click the little heart button there. Hope you're having a good weekend. Chicken Walk, hello there. How's it going? And Brad, I wonder why enemies can always put you in talons, but I can't half the time because they have permanent immunity and we don't. I guess is the reason. And Kev, change Elder Dragon passive in Draconic Power to be damage oriented so I can justify bringing talons and Deep Breath. We need more usable AoE abilities, yeah. Deep Breath is a good call as well, actually. But Burning Talons, yeah, I'm making sure that one's in there. Yeah, most cards in the game. And Guns N' Raiders, you were saying that's what you meant? Working together as a group? Yeah. Alright, well then we're on the same page. I'm nice here. DK chains equal or better than scribing chains? If so, I think DK chains should be better. Better. It depends. The fact that you can choose what the chains cost with scribing, the flexibility of the scribing chain makes it inherently superior, I would say. But yeah, Unrelenting Grip, what does it do? It gives you major expedition, right? That's fairly pointless. It's kind of nice that you can just spam it for a tiny amount of DPS. If you're fighting a boss and you're not doing anything and you're just bored, it just gives you a free mini spammable. Yeah, Moose is just saying no. Kev, I don't know about Undo Magma, but maybe it can do something completely new. I just like how the better scribing skills are locked behind ESO Plus, nicely. It's not. Scribing is free. It's base game. Everyone has it. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit behind there. And Baldur is saying, on a tank with subclassing, you mostly won't keep Ardent Flame. Because the skill doesn't give you much tanking. Yeah, exactly, that's what I was thinking. It's certainly not good enough that you would keep Ardent Flame just for that. And yeah, describing his base game. Died him. Not gonna lie, the magma shell change was hard needed. IA leaderboard was carried by this so hard. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't something that I was lobbying for, but it's one of those things I would look at it and sort of go, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be able to do this. You know? I thought you had to get to Westfield. Nope. It's been base game for months. I'm nice. He's like, shit, logging in and just like going to the Scholarium. They were even scribing golden pursuits, which included doing the quests. Yeah, that's true. Ah, so you missed a trick there, Nicey. Says I need an item? Yeah, but you'll figure it out. I'm sure you will. Anyway, maybe let's get back in the game now. I don't know. This is just taking too long and nobody's watching. So let's get back to some actual gameplay. Just a quick reminder, folks. This is Ninjapul's Gamesfest. We're doing that throughout September. And it's been really, really good fun so far. We've had a few days with some really good support. I would remind you that, you know, this channel dies if you don't support it. So please, if you haven't already taken part in September by getting yourself a cheaper sub to this channel, and it is a place that you go regularly, or if it's a thing that you'd like to see continue, and you don't mind paying the cost of a beer to keep it going, please do think about it. If not today, then some other day during September. But yeah, let's flip on back over to ESO here. Right, Talk, I think I'm limited to my own options. Some things people use I can't use as well. I would love to have a one-on-one sometime, Briartog, and like literally we can go to a voice channel together, just hang out, and you can, if you don't want to do it here, you know, you can just sort of explain. So here's how I approach the game. Here are some, I've done that before. Like there was a really, really awesome girl who used to come to some of our trial groups, and she really struggled with damage, and it was because she was using a build that it was terrible, basically. I'm not saying this about you, I'm talking about her, and she wouldn't mind me saying this. But the reason was, she is one of the people we talked to about Oakensole and the hand issues. She had terrible problems in her left hand, which made it very difficult for her to sustain a clickety-clackety once per second rotation. You know, a lot of people talk about, oh, rotation's really difficult, I can't keep up with the kids. You know, people in their 40s are doing this very, very, very easily. People in their 50s are doing it as well. It is not an age thing. It's not a difficult thing. It's not a lot of actions per minute. If you, in many ways, if you treat the light attack and the ability as a single move, which for most players it is, it's one action per second, plus movement and bar swaps, alright? So, that is not beyond... There are very few people for whom that is an issue. This girl was one of them. And as a result, she was not using the type of builds that I make, the type of rotations that I put out there. But she couldn't use Oakensole either. Oakensole was terrible for her right hand, because it was just holding down one button the whole time. I said, no, this is awful. This makes it even worse. What I need is something a bit more simple. And we came up with something. We designed a 30-second rotation, so she was using... the Black Rose daggers on the back bar, you know, that 30-second rotation, so you don't have to go to the back bar that often. She wanted to play Mag Blade. We made it work. And we created a setup. I could get like 115k with it, or something like that. And this is a while ago, when 150k was decent. You know, she would have got into the vast majority of groups and guilds with that. Unfortunately, Arcanist was a thing by then, so... But yeah, we figured that out by getting on voice together and exchanging a bunch of messages back and forth. And she'd never done this. She didn't have the confidence or the... Or she just couldn't be bothered to sort of theory craft something and do all the testing. But because it's a thing I do all the time, I was perfectly happy to say, well, let's give it a go. Let's see how much single target damage you can get with this. And to our pleasant surprise, it worked really well. And that is a thing I wish I had time to do more of. because the vast majority of people who say, "Oh, I can't do this. The game is too hard," they're simply wrong. They just haven't been given quite the right information. But occasionally there is someone who has a genuine issue with the way the game is designed, either physically or mentally. There's like a little blockage that stops them from really engaging with the combat system and getting the most out of it. But there are generally ways you can tweak it. It's heavy attacks for some people, but for the vast majority, it is just a matter of not having to go to the back bar so often and having a very simple, spammy rotation on the front bar.
Yeah, I always forget what that rune means.
Khan, if you could make just one change to classes or ESO in general, you can't steal my amazing Mag Michelle, what would it be? Just one change? Just one change? Is it too general to say what I said yesterday about take the damage abilities, take the support abilities, and spread them out a bit? You know? So that every single skill line is worth looking at. At least looking at. There's still going to be a meta that's never going to go away. But is that too general? I'd love for there to be damage options in all of these. The problem is that's a huge project. And like I said, I hope the big delay in ZOS addressing subclassing and its gaps and shortcomings, I hope that that's because they are doing this. Or they're thinking about doing this. Is that fair? And, Baldur to say, which alliance is your character? Yeah, Brad Talk. Not finished an Arcanist or Necromancer. Guess I won't do those portions of the survey. Fair enough. AD, so Volkol Guard, you should get the quest there. And hello, Erin. Hope you're having a lovely weekend. How's it going? How's everyone's weekend going so far? Welcome on in. Glad to have you back with us. Right, let's head upstairs to the... But I hope you guys will do that survey. You don't have to stop and think about it for as long as I did. I mean, I was mostly talking to you guys, reading your comments and responding. I want to make sure we do that, so it's a proper conversation. Yeah, I think I'm a little baffled by some of the questions. It feels like, come on, did you have to ask all of those things? Why not just cut to the chase? But whatever, it doesn't take that long, and you can just quickly click through the boring bits, like click, agree, disagree, and then take you a couple of minutes to give them the more detailed stuff at the end. By the way, look at this. Spoiler alert for the Craglorn storyline. The warrior, the thief, and the mage taking down the serpent. That's actually really, really cool. I love it. Nicey. That's awesome. I'm so glad you stopped by and you made that particular complaint. And thanks, chat, for helping out nicely with the advice. By the time I got down to it, it was already taken care of. But yeah, good luck with it. And if you need any tips on it whatsoever, feel free to ask. My name's Khan. Feel free to call me Ninja. I don't care. But Ninja Pulls is the guild. Maya and I run it together. That's my co-host, my wife, my guild master, who will be with us a little bit later today, by the way.
You trusted me, even when I'd failed to show the same trust in you. I won't make that mistake again. From here forward, we must work together.
Sadly, the quest is a little buggy. Yeah, Bright Toxin, wouldn't mind that. Pretty shy, so I need to know a person before I can ask. Well, you've heard my voice plenty, so if you ever want to do it, just hit me up. I'm sure we can get it arranged. Hey, Gnoxy, this is a fun MMO coming from Guild Wars 2. I love it. It is in a weird place right now. They made a huge change earlier this year, and they're sort of ironing things out, but it depends what you love. Do you like combat and story? Then I think this is literally the best MMO out there. I haven't tried them all. I don't know Guild Wars. I don't know Final Fantasy, but WoW, The Old Republic, you name it. I've tried a bunch of them. I'm not really a big MMO guy. This is the only one that worked for me. If you like world building and story that hangs together a little bit better, Like, a lot of stories in MMOs don't do it for me. They just don't move the needle. And I end up thinking to myself, why am I playing this when I could be playing... There are so many amazing single-player games with, like, rich story that I could be experiencing. WoW is, like, the classic example of that for me. Blizzard have even gone on the record as saying, story? You kidding? That's not what this game is about. And it's fair enough. It isn't what it's about. It isn't what MMOs are there for. They are there to create a bunch of systems and social... The players are the content, basically, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're anything like me and you like a combat system that is a bit more moment-to-moment and dynamic, I think Guild Wars is pretty similar to ESO in that way, then I'd say this is amazing. It's just a bit weird, right? We are doing a Gamesfest at the moment where we play a different game each day, and yesterday's game was... I almost said Mount and Blade. No, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which I hadn't actually played before. My wife owns the game, so I installed it. I played about 6 hours, 8 hours, very quickly in order to get set up for the stream, and then we went from there. And loads of people were asking about the combat. I hear the combat in this game is janky as hell, and I was responding with, no, it's fine, but it is weird as hell. Like, I can't think of any other game... Of certainly many other games that have an analogous combat system where you walk in and go, oh, okay, this feels familiar. ESO is a little bit like that. It feels quite different, and some people confuse that lack of familiarity with it being weak or badly designed. I would say the opposite. Combat in MMOs is often quite weak, so the differentness, the otherness of this one is definitely a strength for me. I'd say it's the #1 feature of the game. Closely followed by the community around ESO is excellent. Don't know much about the Guild Wars community, but I hear it's really good. The ESO one is fantastic. Such awesome people here. Maybe because the player base skews a little bit older. A bit nerdier. And then the story as well. So those three things. So if none of those appeal to you, maybe this isn't an MMO that you would get as much enjoyment out of as you might. But if you do like those things, then yeah, I'd say give it a go. There's a ton of stuff here. Next year will be interesting. Going to do some quite different things in 2026. No, actually, thanks. Combat is very important to me. That's what you do all the time, yeah. Don't get me wrong, the combat isn't like super advanced or anything. I'm doing overland stories at the moment, and I'm a Trials and Dungeons guy. Trials are raids. 12-person raids, dungeons are 4-person content, and they can be quite difficult and challenging in a fun way, but the story content in the overworld is very, very undertuned, so it's very accessible, it's very user-friendly for the press and for new people coming in. But then the issue, which is great, it's nice to have that experience as a new player. You don't get dicked on all the time. The problem is, for the players who do want to take the game a little bit more serious and long-term, the overworld doesn't teach them enough about the combat system, so they are in for... They either have to go to YouTube, join a guild, get some tips, or they just have a bit of a rude awakening the first time they do a veteran dungeon and go, whoa, okay, this is a little bit different. MMO veterans tend to take that in their stride. They're fine with it. Not an issue for you, probably, but it's a thing that we've talked about a lot on this channel. Like, how could ZOS, that's the studio, how could they do a better job of ramping newer players into the harder and more rewarding side of the game? It's an interesting question. But anyway, and Baldur is saying, don't be shy, Brightsog. We're all beginners once, and when a player wants to learn stuff, will help. Exactly. Yeah. And Kev, might be bad advice long term, but if you don't even do any light or heavy attacks, you can still do decent damage. Yeah, that's true. You don't even need to weave. You should. Everyone should weave. We should all do it. Because if it's not, like, crucial for you getting okay damage, if you want to do a good job as a support, you absolutely need to be weaving. Otherwise, it'll really crimp your effectiveness. Hey, Maya says hello, everyone. Yeah, Brian talk, easier said than done, exactly. I'm pretty introvert and I've been targeted a lot while growing up because I was different. Well, I'll tell you what, if I do anything, if I put a foot wrong, if you do decide to DM me and we can do this, you can flame me on here in front of everyone. You have my permission and support. But don't worry about it, no pressure. It's only if you want. Like you said, I don't really have that thing of... Maya! Thanks for Lorda. Like you said, you haven't really had that bite of the apple in terms of, oh, I want to like keep improving and do a little bit better, get a little bit more power. And if there must be loads of people who play the game who don't have that itch to scratch. I don't particularly have that itch to scratch. It's at the group level I enjoy seeing progress. Whether it's a group that's already fucking awesome and they just dusted the brand new hard mode, or they got a trifecta for the first time, or they beat their personal best score, or we're number 2. Like, we've had groups in Ninja Pools that are really high on the logs leaderboards. Just because the trifecta we got was a very fast one. So we're like 3rd highest in the world for that patch. And especially on Veteran, on Plain Vet, where a lot of the better groups are doing hard modes. One of our groups, Splint, has been in Lucent Citadel for months before the summer break. And I think 3 patches in a row we have the top clear in the world for VLC. But obviously only because all the groups that were at our level or above were doing hard modes. So... That stuff is really fun to see, but also almost even more fun than that is when I take a group of 12 players and maybe 5 of us have done the trial many times. Maybe 7 people in that group are new, or have only done it a couple of times, never done it on vet, whatever, or they're tanking it for the first time, and we just get them through it. It's not like a huge, stunning victory, it's a clear. But it feels awesome because you can see how already, just in the course of 2 hours, how much the group has improved. That gets me. That is the thing that motivates me more than anything else. And helping other raid leads or people at the individual level have that experience in their groups, even if I'm not there, and they'll message me and say, hey, that trash setup you recommended, that really slaps. Now 3 people in my group are copying it. We're now getting through Kind's Aegis trash long before we're in any danger, or we're nuking disruptors in Sanity's Edge with no trouble, yada yada yada, you know, this kind of stuff. I love all that. I love it. But that is not something that affects everyone, clearly.
You trusted me, even when I'd failed to show the same trust in you.
Schnacks, I'm going to Vienna for a week tonight. First time night train. Oh, that sounds awesome. What are you going to be up to there? I've only been to Vienna for like a day at a time. I thought it was absolutely lovely. I was there at Christmas, though, so the Weihnachtsmarkt was in full effect. And we climbed the cathedral tower. We went into the catacombs and all that stuff. We had schnitzel in a restaurant. I was with a bunch of Czechs. Bunch of drunken Czech people while I was there. So, in fact, I've got a framed photo of me and Maya having Glühwein somewhere in the middle of Vienna from ages ago. Man, I need to dig that thing out. And she is absolutely... Her mouth is like wide open, screeching with laughter. I've no idea what I said to her. Something dumb. Looking at old stones, drink coffee, drink wine. Sounds about right. Oh, that sounds awesome. So a whole week. I hope you have lovely weather, like clear weather, good photography weather, even if you're not taking a bunch of pictures, which I bet you are. But, like, regardless, you know, that photogenic weather would be awesome. I hope it stays dry. May your schnitzels be tender and crispy. And your beer be cold and delicious. How about that? Oh, I'm excited for you, man. I'd love to go back.
Sent the serpent reeling, but he will strike again.
But I was saying, enjoy the city. Never been, but friends with her and loved it. Eat Sakatort if you like chocolate. Oh yeah. But I streamed Guild Wars 2 to friends yesterday and showed them some stuff. Oh, fun. Fun. Nicey, got it. Thank you, chat. Yeah, thank you, chat, for helping Nicey. That's awesome. It was a free bundle at the very bottom of the upgrades page. I was focused on the quest starter tab. I see. Zostitutes. Yeah, Brad, okay, I would not do that. Well, I'm just saying. Feel free. I appreciate the help for sure. Probably better off stream. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm used to helping players as well. Says Baldur, they'll ask for build advice, and like right now, I'm helping a player to get into trial tanking. I'll take my time asking what is needed, which skill lines they want. Yeah, like what your personal requirements are. Some people don't have any. Some people are just like, look, make it a Sork if you can. Or like this friend of mine who said, just keep the rotation simple. So it's like 2 or 3 buttons on the front bar, 1 or 2 on the back bar. Nothing too jazzy. Just let me do the rhythm and not have too much bar swapping and stuff like that. Now we need to just get a little bit of help from the zone story. Now we head to Dragonstar. I love it. It is a little bit harder to follow the Craglorn one because you could just do whatever the hell you want. Oh.
We haven't met yet, but I'm aware of your accomplishments. You are a useful person to know.
Who's your patron?
Alas, Regent Cassipia? She has plans for the Scaled Court. Plans that conflict with those of the Serpent.
Where do I meet her?
I last spoke with her at the old
That is an
farm
extremely
near
tight outfit,
Try
isn't
there.
it?
If she departed,
Boys and girls.
I'm certain she left word of her travels.
I don't know, man. You got to be pretty confident to leave the house dressed like that. Oh, I appreciate all the love for Maya, guys. That's awesome. Alright, Dragonstar, here we come. We haven't met yet, then how are you talking? Yeah. Thanks for the friend request, Briar. Spotted that. Do you use an MMO mouse which helps? Yeah, I use, I just use the buttons, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and R for ults. I use the MMO buttons on the side of my mouse for, well, this. I think I've done this before on stream. I have auto run bound to the mouse. Look. I'm saying, look, you can't see me. But I'm holding, my left hand is on my head right now. Oh, my hair's still wet from my shower earlier. Nice. So yeah, I'm stopping and moving around with just one hand. And I can sprint as well. That's bound to the side of my mouse. I can mount. And sprint on the mount. This is not like amazing tech or anything. It just makes it so much easier to do chill stuff. Then I've got E and R and M. What else have I got? Apparently 4 is also bound for some reason. But yeah, that's it. I have all those bound to just the mouse, so I can do all of these things whilst like eating or drinking or whatever, if I have to, or talking on the phone. I find that to be pretty useful. I personally haven't found that having like 12 buttons for my thumb to interact with to do a rotation, I've never found that to be particularly handy. I did get a little razor gadget, which is like a quarter keyboard with a scroll wheel and a little joystick attached where your thumb sits. That's specifically for using in MMOs. The problem is the keys, the WASD keys, and the buttons around that, they are not oriented the way. So like, if you look at your keyboard right now, guys, you know, the W and the S are not directly above one another. Q and W are slightly to the left of A and S. This mini keyboard doesn't have that. They're all right on top of each other. And after years and years of muscle memory, that just doesn't work. It's like a fundamental design flaw for me. So it's a real shame. It's this beautiful little gadget that really helps you to play and do everything in the MMO very, very easily. But that one design flaw means it's never going to be as effective as a full mouse and keyboard. And Sergi, hey Ninja, can you explain to me the difference of Content Pass and ESO Plus? Right, so Content Pass is just for the content that came out this year. So, we have got Fallen Banners, that's a dungeon DLC. Exiled Redoubt and Lepsiclusa, those are the 2 dungeons in there. Feast of Shadows is also a dungeon DLC. So there are 4 dungeons in there. They are also in ESO Plus, but you don't own them, you just have access to them while ESO Plus lasts, right? Like the difference between a Netflix subscription and buying the movie. Once you stop that subscription, you won't be able to go to those 4 dungeons anymore. Right, so that's one difference. Small difference. The rest of the Content Pass is 3 things. Western Solstice, which you see here. Eastern Solstice, which is currently hidden, but which is coming in, I don't know, 5-6 weeks. And then the Writhing Wall event. The wall is what divides the line. So the event is going to be server-wide. It's going to be base game. Everyone's going to be part of it. But the parts of the event, i.e. the most fun bits, that take place on the island of Solstice, those are going to be exclusive to people who have the Content Pass. So there's actually not that much difference. Because if you were to wait till, say, next year, early next year, Western and Eastern Solstice will become available in ESO Plus. They'll be added to it. The only thing you'll miss out on is that the Writhing Wall event is happening in October and November, and once it's done, it's done. It's never coming back to the game. I hope that's it. So the main difference is when you get access to the island and getting access at all to the Writhing Wall event on the island. Specifically the Writhing Fortress, which is by far the coolest part of the Writhing Wall event. That's going to be Content Pass only. I hope that helps. How do you like the Solstice dungeons? They're some of the best they've ever done. I've got people who say Lepsiclusa is their favourite dungeon ever. People saying Black Gem Foundry is their favourite dungeon ever. So yeah, it's been a very good year for dungeons, I've got to say. Asking everyone or just Khan? Yeah, feel free to chime in. Everyone. But Lord, I killed myself yesterday in VCR 1 because I hit the wrong button on my mouse. Fair enough, I can imagine that. Yeah, Waltronium, full support for thick elves in tight pants. Right, so I can use 6 and 9 for synergy stuff, the other for ultimate. Yeah, there we go, yeah, a Microsoft mouse. But also saying Content Pass, all DLC released this year. ESO Plus gives you access to all the past DLC. Yeah, that's a thing I didn't mention. Obviously, ESO Plus includes everything except this year's stuff. Obviously, the Content Pass does not. It's just the 2025 stuff. Bro, I've gone blind typing for ages so I don't look. I learned it on a typewriter. Once you learn, you don't forget. Exactly, yeah. That's why this thing didn't work for me. Very weird. Writhing Wall is going to change your life. Trust me, bro. Yeah. I mean, the third and final part, many of you guys have seen it because I've been playing it on PTS. That is actually pretty cool.
You and I have a despite my
very fun, very exciting. Certainly for the first few times you do it. I'm not sure how exciting the rest of it really is. But it's cool that it's like a one and done world event. Waltronium, you highly dislike Lepsiclusa, whatever it's called. Whoa, what? How? It's like one of the greatest dungeons we've ever had. Whoa, that's interesting. Obviously a personal take. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm genuinely like, whoa. Genuinely surprised to hear that. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. I wouldn't want to pug it. Like, if you're doing with pickup groups, I can see that making a little more sense.
Look how they blindly follow the serpent's orders. His venomous lies have poisoned their minds.
His venomous lies. Bonk. Dungeons are my favorite content, Nicey. Yeah, got it. Baldur is saying Naj, Kaldish, and Black Gem Foundry because they're very mechanically dense, especially Black Gem. I like it. I hope you guys are up for more dungeon content on here because we've done so little during Gamesfest.
I'll accompany you.
Sepilisk. Still need to do the pursuits. I know, me too. How long have I got? 3 days. Only need to do 3. I don't really understand how that is happening. Earn 3 ranks. I guess it's not possible. Because I haven't earned any ranks. But for some reason I got that. Who the hell knows? Blind run isn't advised. Yeah, go for it. But with like a, you know, group, you're going in together, figuring it out. But yeah, blindly queuing for a you know, a pledge might not be advised. Yeah, do it. You'll figure it out. Absolutely. When you say one and done, does that mean the achievements are off limits for players who miss it? Yeah, it does. I don't think there's much in there. I'm not sure there are any achievements, actually. I don't think they would do that. I don't think there are any achievements. So I don't know if Narxi is still watching, but that's what I'm talking about. The overworld stuff is far too easy. But they're introducing an optional difficulty slider. Hopefully next year. I'm hoping early next year.
Meet me near Dragonstar after you.
Does the event even have achievements? Yeah, exactly, Moose. Yeah. Briar Talk, need to do more dungeons for the Golden Pursuits. I still need to do 10. I need way more, but I started with my Warden. I'd say you're not a fan of that? Never liked when games past events made it impossible to complete the achievements? ESO's never had that, and I don't think it'll ever have that. Not with achievements. There'll be cosmetics and things like that that you can only unlock if you do this. And if you join the game later, or if you don't buy the content pass, tough. I think that's fine.
These scorpions were isn't there?
That's no different to like Crown Store stuff. You know, if you miss it, you missed it. So what, I do appreciate Zereth Var's Boneyard. Just major breaching the enemies every now and again. He drops it right in the perfect place at the right time. Boom. And now we need to head down here. Lord, there's loot which can be earned during the event. Yes. And Ahelt, in regards to the question of dungeons during Gamesfest, yes, do dungeons and take me with you. It'll be after Gamesfest. That's the point. I haven't had time to do anything during Gamesfest. Speaking of which, we should switch to Baldur's Gate pretty soon. Let me just do this bit and we'll swap on over. And do stick around, guys. I really want to get your take on this game. Because like I said, I'm not quite convinced I understand how and why it is good and why people like it and all the rest, but honestly, I'm still not convinced that it is a game I'm gonna play to completion. I just feel like I'm playing a board game, and it bumps me quite a lot. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. What a board game. It's absolutely beautiful. All right. Now we can get out of here. Most, if anyone hasn't done the 15 public dungeon bosses, do the Alikir group event. It counts all 3. Oh, that's a good tip. Thank you for that. Yeah, public dungeon bosses. So you'll need to do that 5 times. To be fair, yeah, that's 3 in 1, isn't it? Literally. Maybe I'll do that with Maya later. Right, so how do you join something like that? I've seen groups, but no idea how to join. It's not even the turn-based thing I had. I think it's the dice rolls. In the same way that Morrowind combat is so difficult to go back to now. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is an amazing love letter to games that don't work anymore. Especially, and honestly, it didn't hit me. It's because of Gamesfest that I think I feel this way. I haven't played that far into the game. I get like 10 hours in every time, and then I have to start a new game because the person I started it with isn't available, or I wanted to start a new game for the stream to make sure I took in everything and really learned how everything works before going there with you guys. So yeah, let's flip on over to that. Let me just change the categories. Don't go anywhere, folks. We are doing this as part of our Gamesfest. So yeah, do stick around. We're going to be playing some BG3 for a little while. And swapping notes on what makes it good, what like is a personal thing that we love about it. Man, I really need Maya here to do all this admin bullshit in between switching games. It's actually way more hassle than you may realize. Anyway. We are on it. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And I really want to hear what you guys make of it. Like, who's played it, who hasn't, what your favorite aspects of the game. Let's try and avoid spoilers, please. I'm not just thinking of me, I'm thinking mostly of people who haven't played the game a ton. People who might be in the midst of things and haven't, like, reached that particular bit later. So please be mindful of that if we're talking about plots and characters and so on. Right, I'm firing it up now. Yeah, Egbert's Dark Urge. I know. I had, and a couple of other people said, make a Dark Urge character, and I was like, fuck off, I'm not doing that on my first playthrough. Are you crazy? No. And, Bradsock, I wasn't sure what you meant about, how do you join something like that? I heard Baldur's Gate 3 was really good. I think that's the thing. everyone who reviewed the game, like game reviews, are typically of a certain age, a certain type of nerd. They generally have played and adore those old Infinity Engine games, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment. Just give me a sec. And we'll flip on over. Here we go. And Peter played it, really didn't like it. Caps lock for the win. I definitely don't... It's not that I dislike it. I just think there are some very strange decisions which were made for nostalgia or continuity with the older games. I think I'm going to need to turn down the audio, like, immediately. Dice rolls are because they're part of Dungeons & Dragons. Yeah, I get that. But it doesn't work for me at all. Like, it bumps me. My heart sinks a little bit whenever combat begins. And you can, like, all 4 of your characters can do a really powerful attack on an enemy, and just everything misses. But then you can reload to that point in the fight, and then everything hits, and you can... Like, the difference between an amazing victory and an abject defeat has got nothing to do with you. Obviously, that's a very specific outcome, and there's RNG in all games, you know, crits, hits. RNG is almost always a thing. So, audio. I don't need to be convinced. I just want to be able to discuss where the game isn't like a slam dunk. And this is like a fairly objective discussion. I'm not going to get into more subjective things like, I don't like turn-based combat. I am one of those people, but I don't think that's a valid criticism. Like, the game is designed to have that. And with good reason. Although I would say that the original Infinity Engine games did not have turn-based combat. And we just played Planescape Torment just a few days ago here on this channel. And fresh off that experience, it's very clear how shallow the storytelling actually is in Baldur's Gate relative to those older games. It's nowhere near as exotic or complicated or interesting. So a lot of it boils down to that balance between eye candy and faithful old school tabletop nostalgia. And neither of those things are typically a recipe for a good game. So it ought to be kind of a miserable failure. But it isn't. It's like this astonishing success, both critically and commercially. And what I want to do with you guys is try to figure out exactly why. Why that is. So I just killed Will, for example. You're not supposed to do that, but he's a dick. So this is not a playthrough I'm going to keep. I'm probably going to delete this playthrough completely. And then have to do the tutorial all over again. For like the 20th time. But yeah, so let's catch up with chat. Moose, you would advise for a first playthrough? Actually, I agree, but yeah, it's fun. Dragon, you're on playthrough 9? Alright, we need to learn about this. Like, why would you play it again? Is it just to see all the things you missed? Sort of a completionist? Or is it genuinely just as fun to do it over and over? Or just to, like, up the difficulty? Often I'll do that. I'll play a game on... Say a game that has 5 difficulties. You know, very easy, normal. Difficult, very difficult. I'll usually play it the first time on difficult mode, and then I'll play it again on, like, the highest difficulty. And then I'm done with the game after that. That's been the case with Doom, The Dark Ages, Cyberpunk. Most games, this is how I do it. But there are some, like Doom Eternal for me, where I keep coming back to it. It's an interesting one. You killed Will? Lol. Yeah, why not? He basically comes up and dares you to kill him. I just thought if that happened, and you're like a barbarian badass. I'm playing as Karlach, by the way. I could not be bothered trying to figure out what would make a character work. So I know you're not supposed to do this. I know you're supposed to play as your own character, and it bothers me that none of her lines are voiced. But whatever. Each of their own, yeah. Hard disagree? What was that? I had first playthrough, he said it, we all heard it. Oh, the group events? It's not a group, it's just a group event. You don't need a group to do it. You just walk up and kill the boss. And go for some base game ones, Briartog. So base game zones, you go to the... Why am I opening the map? I can't show you there. You know, Alikir Desert, like Moose said, and you just go to the public dungeon. You know, the archway symbol. The sort of the stony archway. Yeah, so Peter and a couple of people saying, yeah, the game and or the combat rubs them up the wrong way. Egberts, yeah, you're welcome to, I guess. Most the extra psychopathy available to you as Dark Urge is quite interesting. Erin, saying hello to Eggbirds. You played all those Infinity Engine games? The dice rolls, yeah, but they're in there. They're in all games, but they don't have to be visible. They're not in the Infinity Engine games. I think the reason they do that is to avoid save load spamming. So they give you this really long, beautiful. It's quite a satisfying thing, the dice roll, but inherently it's there to make it annoying for you to save load spam. I think they've pretty much admitted that that's the function. Not gonna lie, I don't even know how do I leave camp? There we go. Last time I tried playing this game was about 6 months ago. This is so funny, so many comments, alright. Oh my god, I like Will. I'm sure you're not supposed to kill him. But this is, like I said, this is not a playthrough I'm going to keep. And I've got serious questions. I told Maya... So Maya bought this game because she wanted to play it when it came out. I wanted to play it when it came out, but it was £50. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to play it enough for that to be worth it. Maya decided she was going to do it. She was wrong. She bought the game, didn't play it. And then she was saying, oh, maybe I should buy it for you. Then we will actually play it together. I told her not to do it because we're not going to play it. It's not going to happen. She did it anyway. So £100 down the toilet. And neither of us have ever really played the game or got into it. We've both tried. We probably, between us, have over 100 hours in the game. But neither of us have ever found a reason to come back. Except to hang out with Eggbirds. That's literally the only thing. You're 100% supposed to play an origin character. What is it that made you think otherwise? No, you're supposed to play your own character. The devs literally said that. The ideal way to play it, you make your own custom character. It's just, I don't know what... I didn't have time. Like I said, I'm flipping the script a little bit today. I've really, really done my homework on all these other games, because they're games that many of you haven't played or know much about, and these are games where I can jump in and introduce you to something new. I thought, let's flip it around completely. I will adopt the role of the complete ignoramus here, and you guys can tell me why it worked for you, or why it didn't, which things stuck out, which things didn't. One of the things that immediately I find interesting that people don't talk about is the fact that this is a one-handed game. That you do almost everything by just clicking the mouse. You know? course, I'm using the arrow keys to move the map, but that's pretty much it. Like, you can do a fairly serious playthrough, and you're barely doing anything with your hands. Like, this is obviously not a way to measure a game's entertainment value, but think about it for a moment. If I were to mount a webcam over my desk and show my hands, all the games that we've played this month, this would be the least interesting to look at in terms of what my hands are actually doing. And like I said, that's not a basis on which to judge anything. But I thought it was fun to think about. And it brings me back to this idea, this is a board game. You know, it's a tabletop game. Alright. Nice. Look, you think it looks beautiful? You should have been here for Kingdom Come yesterday. But it is quite pretty. When you get into dialogue, it becomes very pretty. When the textures don't load in, that is. But it looks really great when you're in the cutscenes. The characters are really nicely done. The camera angles are really cool and cinematic. There are often moving camera angles. The camera's actually moving around the characters as they speak. The animations of the heads when they talk is very exaggerated, but it works. Like, it doesn't bother you. If you watch a TV show and the heads were bobbling around like this, it would look weird and bad, but...
I expect I am your first.
But the voiceovers and animations are really, really fun. The art department did great with this. That's where the game looks really good, in my opinion. The environments are fine. Egbert, I think it's weird you keep looking back and comparing Baldur's Gate 3 with the older BG games. Yeah, which it hasn't very little in common with. Yeah, but that is very much the pitch for this game, though, isn't it? And I'm looking at the Infinity Engine games and what they did in terms of depth and combat, which I actually prefer. That's why I'm thinking of it, because we just played one. We just played Planescape Torment the other day, and jumping into this after that experience, it really threw me. Because exactly as you say, they're so different, and I'm thinking, why? And I think the reason is budget, technology, and the gap between board games and video games. It used to be quite small. You know, it was fine for Planescape Torment to be an interactive board game at the time. But in 2024, 25, it feels weird. It feels strange to make those choices when others have been developed, tested, refined over decades of video game design. It's just some really interesting choices they made. That's what I want you guys to talk to me about. All right, here we go. Different options, different classes. You can kill the goblins, then kill the druids in different playthroughs. Yeah. You can have wildly different experiences. Different hairstyles. I play story mode because I can't do the harder stuff. That's interesting, Briartog. There's no way that's true. Because this is, as I just said, it involves absolutely no skill. In terms of like dexterity or timing. It's strategy. So it's just all in the head. And I'm not saying you're wrong to play it in story mode. I feel like I would probably, if I'm ever going to play this game, it'll probably just be in story mode, so I can just play it like a clicker. Because I think the combat is for a lot of people, its weakest aspect. I think it's really interesting, but because I don't play D&D, I'm inherently at an enormous disadvantage. Like, I don't know what any of these things mean. And the game does nothing to explain that to you. And that's fine. That's fair. Like, it obviously works. Let me state again, this is a game which I admire to a very, very high degree. I'm not trying to dunk on it at all. I'm trying to pick apart why did it work? Why did it work in spite of some of these things that it does really weirdly, you know?
I suppose I am as alien to you as you are to me. I know of your kind.
Bazel all the
but I
way.
do not often encounter them. That large, fleshy nose of yours looks like a mistake.
And Erin, I've not played BG 1 or 2, but the details are nothing like any game I've played before. Makes games like Skyrim look like ass. What about the game we were playing yesterday? I would say that makes this... I don't think it does, by the way. I don't think a better graphics make any game look like ass. Graphics are a distraction. They are there to convince us that a game is better than it really is. Ultimately. Or just to reinforce a game which is already excellent. But they don't do a great deal on their own, except enhance what's already there. You know, like the game yesterday, Kingdom Come, the graphics enhance the immersion massively, because it is all about it's all about immersion. It's kind of an immersive sim in a lot of ways. It doesn't have all the intricate different approaches like hacking and stealth, and well, I suppose it does have stealth, but my nose isn't that large.
Decadent, then. Lacking in economy. Like so much of this world and its undisciplined people.
She is a bit of an idiot, isn't she? Lizelle. Like, just a proud racist who's obviously never taken 2 seconds to examine what a silly intellectual position that is. Look at Gale's face. This is what I'm talking about. The animations are very, very funny. And that's maybe the thing I'm missing so far. I don't find the game as funny as the older Infinity Engine games. Is that fair? I feel like Baldur's Gate it's got a lot of humor in it, don't get me wrong. It's got a lot of nonsense and Oblivion-style pratfalls and silly situations you can create, but it feels much more po-faced and serious than the older ones. Maybe you couldn't get away with that level of ridiculousness in a modern game. But like in Baldur's Gate 1, when you go to the innkeeper literally says to you, "My beds are as clean as an elven arse." And it's full of these like little humorous, charming touches. And I feel like I really missed that. Yeah, Eggbirds, I just went for the first playthrough. You're not supposed to pick one of these guys, but I couldn't be bothered setting up a new one. You know, like a... Yeah, that's all I meant. Yeah, I had Shadowheart always felt a bit meh. I think I've got a problem with Shadowheart because I've known like a million girls who talked like that when I was growing up. And yeah, it's not a pleasant thing for me to... for me to recall.
I understand much beyond your comprehension.
She's my first romance, don't call her meh. Alright, I know we're kidding, but this is part of the thing. Like, right, people get very... People become very absolutist when they talk about this game. Oh, this companion is the best. That one's awful. Oh, I killed that one immediately. Like, what? I want to get away from that, and I want to understand why... And I'm sorry, this is not... I don't want to make you guys feel like you're at school doing a report. But I really want to know what makes someone immediately boot it up for a second playthrough. And don't just say different class. That's not the answer. Most games have that. But we don't immediately go back and do it again. But this is a game where people really have done that. I think, for me, I've always assumed it was more to do with being aware that there's a huge chunk of story you missed out on by siding with this group, and you want to know just how much more content there is. So it's a little bit like you've eaten everything on your plate, and it was kind of delicious. So you go back to the pot and investigate what's still in there. Is that fair, or am I off? Moose is saying you can save on the roll, but there's a button to speed up the dice roll. Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to play as the Dirge. Oh, Aaron, you played loads in BG3 but never tried multiplayer. And Brian took some of the NPCs I don't like at all. Yeah, it's cross-play as well. That's a very good point. Aaron, I think enough time has passed when I last played. Time to make a new campaign. Yeah. I can't see depth. So some stuff in games are hard to play. Oh, interesting. Okay, Brian, I'm with you. Dragon, I'm currently working on my Dark Urge on a run. Talk about going after something extremely dumb at the same time. Xenia, what was that one? Best game ever made, period. Hero Quest. Okay, okay. And Aaron, by details, I don't mean graphics. Any game can do that. I see. Yeah, you'd be racist in her scenario too? Maybe. But it feels like a very ignorant... I don't know. I think games often do a very bad job with racism. This would not be a unique thing to PG-3. But characters who are racist are just portrayed as like, that's like the thing that they do. And it's not really interrogated or analysed where that may have come from.
It starts with a fever
Or how it might be broken.
Then you start to hallucinate. Your hair falls out.
It doesn't, you know, Star Trek, which is a thing that I love, does the same thing. Racism is bad. And it doesn't really get much more sophisticated than that half the time.
Great tentacles. All skin will turn to gore.
Subtlety, I guess, is what we're talking about.
Then you have ceased to exist, and a mind flayer is born.
Maybe if they did Baldur's Gate 4, which obviously they're not doing, maybe then they wouldn't have the same level of, oh, this is so cool seeing this world realized in such high fidelity that we've now had before, and they would dial things back a little bit. I don't know, it's interesting. Yeah. Indoctrination. And Moose saying, making your own character means you miss out on a bunch of stuff. I think the idea is that just to clarify what I meant by this, the devs said when the game was coming out, in answer to like a bunch of questions, and I'll hop up in a moment, Eggbirds, the ideal way to experience this game is to make your own character first, and then maybe go back and play one of the others. Remember, the Dark Urge wasn't added at launch, I don't think. Wasn't it added a little bit later?
Oh, so murder or theft?
But theft would be paid for painfully. 1,000.
And Aaron, get out of the dialogue and play the game. It will answer all the questions itself. Well, I can't possibly do that today. That's why I want to talk to you guys. I'm not interested in the game, really. It's just here as a backdrop. I kind of want to talk to you guys because we haven't got time. The game is way too big. I tried desperately last night. I played from 6 p.m. till 1 in the morning to get this thing ready, and look how far into the game I made it. So I just gave up. I basically said, I'm not going to be able to do a good job with this. So I'm just going to flip the script, like I said, and we'll just have a conversation about it instead. Because it is a really interesting game. I don't think people necessarily realize how strange it is. It is a very weird game. And when you look at it on paper, a lot of things about it should not work. Like, it's incredibly old-fashioned and dated in some of its choices. But the choices are made by people who know exactly what they're doing and who've got game in this area of game design, you know? And that is, I think, why it is such a rare type of success, right? Jesse Lee, we're taking a break from ESO and heading to the gate. Agreed. Time to get poked by the bear. Again. Yeah. So yeah, indeed, Hero Quest was damn awesome at the time. Music was on point as well. Can never do a Dark Urge run, Eren. Too feeble-hearted. You don't have to do all the evil stuff. Yeah, even I know that. Dark Urge, Dragon, no re-rolls, no save scamming, no use of inspiration. Really? Egbert said, yeah, that's true. You will inherently miss out on things on a playthrough. Even if you play a Tav, if you want to play as one of the Origin characters, that's just peak D&D mentality. Agreed. Which is why I didn't do it. I've never played D&D. I don't really understand anything about D&D. Except, you know, the theory behind it. I understand why tabletop can be inherently superior to video game. And I also understand the reasons in which video games can be superior to tabletop. But it's theoretical, it's academic, you know, it's not the same. Eggbirds, if you want to play as the Origin characters of peak D&D, and it makes even more sense if you look at their previous game, Divinity Original Sin. Yeah. Dragon, I have to live or die by each die roll for this playthrough. Karlak was also added later. After launch? She's literally on the poster. On like the... Interesting. Dark Urge was at launch, but the game was in early access for months. Well, yeah, that's why I'm confused, because I was paying quite a lot of attention to this game in the last 18 months, 2 years of early access. Mostly just as an industry watcher. Like I said, I didn't necessarily think I would play it. Go in this cave. Yeah, why do you think I'm standing in front of it? Alright, first, before I go into that cave, I need to hop up into a voice channel with Eggbirds. So give me a moment, I'll be right back. And I had questions for BG3 enjoyers. Barbarian, is that class as underwhelming to you as it is to me? Never found it good. Good question. I can't answer that. But yeah, it feels pretty underwhelming to me so far.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. You should be able to
You're way
hear.
louder in the Discord than you are on stream. Let me adjust that. Oh, that's because I raised your volume in Discord.
Okay, right. Well, hello. Hello, Eggbirds. Thank you so much.
Hello.
This is awesome.
Hello.
So, right here we have a bona fide D&D nerd, not just a BG3 nerd.
No, I'm not here to defend BG3.
I'm not here to attack
But
it.
I am here to disagree with your takes, though.
That's fine. They're very, very
Yeah.
uninformed takes. My point is,
All right.
my thesis basically is this game is weird. It is super, super weird in like a wonderful way. Like so many other games that we've shown in Tenfest are quite strange and unique. BioShock is bizarre in a lot of ways, and the places where they pick and choose to be generic or derivative in a fun way, which is like players will be very familiar with this. They will be used to this kind of thing. There are elements of that, and then there are also elements of complete maverick craziness, which sometimes pay off, and sometimes not so much. And I just wanted to meditate on that idea a little bit, not just for BG3, but in general, because we can be quite schizophrenic as a group, gamers I mean, when it comes to things that are familiar and things that are original. We kind of want it all, and we're never satisfied. And there's like that fine line where, oh, this is just generic, it's nothing interesting. You know, the Activision thing, they make the same game every year, which isn't quite fair.
Yeah, the Ubisoft thing.
Yeah, the Ubisoft thing, exactly. These aren't quite fair criticisms, but we all join in and do it. And then, you know, when a game is just too bizarre, the combat system puts some people off because it takes a little while to get into, as with KCD2 yesterday. People were saying, I really like the look of this game, but the combat system looks weird as fuck, or people tell me it's very strange. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just interested in that a little bit. So Dragon's saying...
I was just...
sorry, after you. And then I'll catch up with chat. After you.
Oh, yeah. So I was kind of surprised. You said a couple of times, like, oh, I know you're not supposed to do X, like choose a origin character or kill a certain companion and stuff. Like, but why would you think that? Because that's the entire point of the game is like play however you want. So there is no, and I get like playing an original character will get you the most content because then you can explore each of the companions' voice lines and such.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But there's no real way. Like of course you're supposed to kill Will if you want to. And then you don't if you don't want to. That's
the reason I killed him would probably dismay the devs. I just couldn't be bothered talking to him. I didn't want to have that conversation. I was like, "Why are you in my camp? Get the fuck away from me! I don't want another companion, and I don't want to have this conversation right now." So I just deleted him from the game. It wasn't like a choice, a role-playing choice.
So you only met him when he entered your camp, or did
no?
you...
You run into him in the druids thing. There's like a forced encounter. I knew he was there, and I was trying to avoid him. And then, even though I was at the other side of the cave, I was just trying to get somewhere fast, and I was getting a little bit frustrated. As you can hear, like 6 until 1. That's 7 hours. Okay, gameplay wasn't interrupted by dinner and whatnot, but it took me 7 hours just to get here, and I don't think that's unusual. And I just wasn't in the mood for another fucking interruption. So
it is unusual if you didn't do any character creation, because my character creation would last like 3 hours.
Exactly. That's also why I skipped that. Yeah, I don't want to put you guys through character creation in any of these Gamesfest days. Even in Dragon's Dogma, which has and BG3 to be fair, which has amazing character creation. It's really cool and fun to do. Right. Let's examine
what
this.
Is it about this that you find old-fashioned about this, or like dated? Because you said something along those lines.
The top-down click adventure, the dialogue.
Something the matter?
Actually works beautifully. They do a great job of peanut buttering over the fact that this is basically Oblivion dialogue. The game freezes, and you are talking, and your character doesn't say anything, but responses suddenly appear. It is very dated. Of course, I understand why they're not voiced. That is a budgetary thing. But you look at the dialogue system in Oblivion, and it feels laughable. This is the same. It's just they've done a better job at hiding it. Whereas in the game we were playing yesterday, Kingdom Come, Cyberpunk is a very good example of this. They really sat down and came up with a new way to do dialogue in games, which is, it still doesn't quite work. Like, you get unnaturally interrupted by somebody shooting at you or whatever. This can happen, but generally it feels very natural and very cinematic. And this game is structured very differently. It's not trying to do those things and failing. It is trying to do something quite old school and just finding a way to keep it fresh and not alert us to the fact that it is kind of not cutting edge anymore to do it this way.
Okay, but where does genre stop and old-fashioned begin then? Because it could also be like a style choice, right? Or you could argue that it's a style choice.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Look at Mass Effect. It has a lot of the same elements, but it plays very differently to Baldur's Gate. And look at The Witcher. You know, the first Witcher game had those 3 modes where you can play it like this. Or you play it like a little more zoomed in. Or you play it all the way zoomed in. And you're basically WASDing your character around, you know, WASD, and interacting with the world on a real-time basis rather than the sort of the turn-based feeling of...
Yeah.
It's weird. The Witcher feels very turn-based until you enter combat. And BG3 does the opposite.
You need to play it with you should play it with a controller. That's because then you're actively moving your character.
Well, there's a way to do that with mouse and keyboard as well, isn't there? But it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. I don't need to. It doesn't bother me clicking around. It's quite chill. The only thing that I would like is I should put, and you can turn this on in settings, that when you bump the edge of the screen, it automatically moves the camera. That's in the settings. You can have that there. Should we go and talk to the owlbear, or should we avoid it?
You do you.
I just want to look at the thing.
It's pretty cool. You can fight it.
It looks so good. All right, let's catch up with chat. So,
if you have speak with animals on one of your characters, you actually can have a little conversation with it.
Ah, The level of detail and choice is maybe the most admirable thing of all.
Yeah.
Like the sheer number of permutations, and this is a thing I haven't even experienced yet. I'm just aware of it because it's been talked about so much. That is incredible, and I regret that it is so rare in games to have this. Because even in BG3, you can find times where it's like, well, I wouldn't put it quite like that. That is too binary. That's not what I meant. So even then, with all this choice, it still doesn't come close to the proper D&D Dungeon Master experience. But it just does an amazing job of simulating that, and that's sort of part of it. Like, it is trying to simulate a lot of what is best about a medium which is not a video game. And I think that is a really interesting exercise. But it definitely puts some players off who would otherwise love this game. And the devs knew that. And they just decided not to bother, not to mind about it.
And I think all of those Baldur's Gate games are attempts to recreate a faithful representation of D&D at that time. So for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, that is Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, I think, 2nd edition.
Yeah.
And this is 5th edition, not the latest one, but 2014 rules set, and it almost copies that 1-to-1.
Yes.
So it's, to me, it was weird that you compared Baldur's Gate 3 with Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, because they're both based on a entirely different system, with like 20 years between them, between the game systems and the actual video games. And I think, in my opinion, this game makes a lot more sense to compare with the game the devs made before this, which is
Divinity
Original Sin 2. Yeah, because the games are so different, because also different studios.
I wasn't suggesting they should be the same, though. I was saying, having recently played Planescape Torment, also with you guys, you were here, you saw it. That
I missed it, sadly, but yeah.
Oh well, we were cracking up. Like, it was hilarious and so weird. And this feels very, very. It's a little bit like going from Morrowind to Oblivion. Obviously, it's a different setting. That's a big part of it. Faerun or Forgotten Realms and Planescape are not the same. They're just both D&D settings. But so I don't know to what extent I'm seeing the old Baldur's Gate games through like rose-tinted glasses, but I feel like there is. Larian said this over and over again, that what they were trying to do was recreate a modern game with like those old games, but with modern production values, and to recapture that amazing feeling of adventure. And there's a great speech Vinka gives off the cuff. He's obviously got it down. He's made it a million times before in boardrooms and meetings or whatever. But again, some fan just asks, why is this a worthy successor to these amazing games? And he gives this incredibly detailed answer about what made those games great, and in what respect Baldur's Gate 3 continues or improves upon all of those things, in addition to the modern tech and all the graphical wizardry and whatnot that we have available now. Like voice acting is a huge thing, all of that stuff. And it's a really good. If I should have like grabbed the quote so I could read it or play it for you guys, but it's excellent. I think it was their final dev presentation, the panel from hell or whatever it was called.
Oh.
I think it was the final one they did. Like Dawn Whisper was there, our buddy Nightinator was there, a bunch of content creators were there in the audience, like asking questions, and yeah.
You feel the quake of its heavy footsteps before you see it.
You guys hear Eggbirds all right now? I did turn him up a bit.
Its beaked face.
I also improved my gain a little bit.
Okay, thanks.
Hopefully that I don't. That I'm coming through all right now.
Animal handling. Let's just try this.
Do it.
The beast
Hey.
feathers quivering.
Karlak is inspired. Great, good news. But yeah, Moose was
That
saying
works.
Will is probably my least favorite companion, so I can see why you killed him. Game does not freeze when talking stuff goes on around. You know what I mean, though, Erin. It sort of, it does, like, the action stops and you enter a different mode.
To be fair, I did get arrested mid-conversation because guards found out I was in a building I wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, like in Oblivion.
So
that will happen as well. It's just...
yeah, right?
Yeah.
In Oblivion. Yeah,
like a guard would just go,
right.
"You violated the law," when you were talking with a shopkeeper or whatever. But it's, again, it's not supposed to be a criticism. It's very funny to me how people are super keen to defend Baldur's Gate 3 against me. I'm not attacking the game. I'm saying it is, in many ways, all the more astonishing for its success based on how maverick it actually is. Or, it's sort of a weird mix of being very maverick and very old-fashioned in different ways. I think.
Yes, but I think the next game from Larian was inevitably going to be a success because they made already a bit of publicity with their last game, and just the fact that it got its hands on an IP which was already skyrocketing in popularity just made everything even bigger than it initially would be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I think it's a gorgeous quality fantasy game. We don't actually get that many of those. Look at The Witcher 3. You know, it's obviously a great game and everything, but people are so thirsty for a game like that. And this is very much in that ilk. And then D&D is it's almost in hipster territory these days. It's very cool. Like, we just had a blockbuster movie with Chris Pine in the lead just a couple of years back. So yeah, D&D is very hot right now. These are all absolutely true. And like I said, I think a lot of the reviewers who reviewed it, they're of a certain age. You know, they will have played and loved those old Infinity Engine games. And that immediately makes them not, like, biased necessarily, but a little bit more well-disposed towards the game. So I've got a question. This is probably me being stupid. I always try to use a firebolt with Shadowheart. She's like level 2 or whatever, so terrible.
Don't.
But it never hits.
No.
It, like, literally, I've never seen it hit anyone.
Yeah, that's because clerics, which Shadowheart is, their primary stat is wisdom. So Shadowheart has a pretty high wisdom. So that everything that is wisdom-based, which are all your cleric spells, will likely be more effective.
And the intelligence check is going to fail, more likely.
Yeah. The fact that she is a high elf, half elf, or like a half elf with high elf ancestry, if you choose that, then you get a free cantrip to on your character. So that means you can be like a fighter, half elf fighter with like a spell, which is pretty cool. But that is based on your intelligence, and her intelligence is lower than her wisdom. So that's why, statistically, you'll be less likely to hit with a firebolt.
I knew it would be something like that.
Yeah, it's all about the math. But that is something the game doesn't really explain well. I totally agree with you.
Oh, actually, I'm fine with that. I figured out it must be something like that. But yeah, I'm sure there were some people who'd be like, oh, that thing deals quite a lot of damage. Holy shit. I really love the greasy pig.
Yeah.
Erin likes to talk to people, then change character and pickpocket them.
Yeah.
And you can speak to all the... Oh, sorry, I've got a lot of chat to catch up on real quick.
Yeah.
So you can speak to all the animals. All of them are voiced. The corpses as well, right, Erin? The dead bodies, yeah. And Moose, the first time I killed a squirrel took me by surprise. That's all I will say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tiago.
Same. Moose, same.
Yeah, Tiago said, when I start playing The Elder Scrolls Online, I knew a guy who was from my country, he helped me first few weeks, then he tells me, I will have a vacation on this game and return in a month, and I go play Baldur's Gate 3. So already passed more than 1 year, and he never returned. Personally, don't like Baldur's Gate 3. I was surprised. I actually went on Reddit, which I never do, and tried to gauge the popularity of that, like, how many people just really don't like BG3. I was really surprised at how many people shit-talk this game. Because that I don't get. Like, it's obviously a very great piece of work, and we should be celebrating. Even if it's not the game for us, we should be celebrating its existence, I feel like. But, yeah, clearly not everyone feels that way. How much damage did he take?
Also in Divinity Original Sin 2, you had this perk which is called Pet Pal, which made you be able to talk to all the animals. And man, there is so much dialogue with those animals, and like they can give you hints on how to complete quests and stuff like that. So it was really neat to see that in Baldur's Gate 3 as well.
I just healed the fucking owlbear. I
Yep.
just should have moved the camera a
Yeah.
little bit. I definitely
Yeah.
clicked on Lizelle, but whatever. We're just messing around here. And I love the fact that you can do that. You know, there is friendly fire. There is unfriendly healing. Yeah, Aaron, you seem a bit underleveled for this. This is just the idea. Like, reloading, messing around. I'm just giving you guys something to look at to prompt, you know, the conversation we're having. Was that a critical roll? LePro? Yeah, welcome on in. And Brad, so why do you keep calling it a board game? D&D is character sheets. Yeah, you know what I mean. Board game is shorthand.
Well, a tabletop game should be, I think, a more appropriate name. But yeah, I see what you mean. But technically, it's not a board game. Yeah.
I mean, you put the characters on a board, and then it is. But yeah, it's shorthand. Everyone knows what I mean.
You can call Yahtzee a board game.
Yeah, exactly. And Anno, hello there.
But I totally get if this is not your jam, like this type of combat, and that it feels some sort of like a board game. But
board game is not a criticism, like at all.
Yeah. I don't think I agree with that, Briar Tog. I don't know how to pronounce that. That old Dungeons and Dragons was mostly Theater of the Mind. I think a lot of people played with Theater of the Mind, but I think there are also many people already playing with miniatures or something to substitute it for miniatures, like, I don't know, dice or snacks. I don't know. There's just so many ways people played D&D back in the day, even when it started. There's this interesting book called, I forgot, but which kind of documents the different types of ways people looked at D&D when it first came into being, and how people played, and that there was no one way to actually, nobody played it the same way, even though everyone was using the same rules, which is super fascinating.
Cub looks from you to his dead mother.
Was it the Elusive Shift? Is that what the book is called? I don't know.
A single strike will end his suffering.
The cub would have died anyway.
Nature might have provided for it. Too late now.
Oh no, you killed it.
Yeah, of course. This is just a
You can
troll.
leave it.
Nah, fuck that guy. They attacked us.
Right. Oh, if you didn't, then you could actually have an owlbear companion. That's cool.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm gonna delete this playthrough for sure.
You're just also gonna leave Shadowheart.
Yeah, fuck her. She genuinely does annoy me. Like, the voiceover is great. The fact that it's like a villain that you really hate in a movie, and it's not the actor. The actor's doing an amazing job, but you hate the character because they're doing such a great job of portraying it. The prissy little private school princess that she evokes is just nauseating. All of my sister went to a very, very fancy private school while I went to a state school for our A-levels. I had the opportunity to go, but I decided not to. And this is where Madonna's kid went to school, and Sting's kid went to school, and my sister knew Sting's son a little bit. They weren't like friends or anything, but this is a very, very fancy school, and all of her friends were like this, and some of them were lovely, but man,
this is just leaving Shadowheart. You can play this with 3 or 2 companions, I think.
You should search that corpse.
Oh, we haven't met Astarion yet. I can go and get him. Although I like the idea of just having 4 ladies running around. I just deliberately avoided Astarion.
4 ladies and Gale. Wait.
It's 3 ladies and Gale at the moment.
Yeah.
Is there not another lady character?
Possibly.
Oh yeah, there's the dark.
Yeah,
the drow that you can, the really evil one, right?
Well, there is another option, yeah, but not in the near future. Of this game. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Anox, for sorting out the meow counter. Really appreciate that. And Erin, yes, you're right. We were under level, but we smashed it.
It only took Shadowheart, but that's fine.
Tabletop is different than board game. I don't think we need to get into the semantics of it. You all know what I mean. As opposed to a video game. And I just think it's really interesting that it looks like it makes a very, very good... the devs have talked about this. The game very clearly is doing this. It is harking back to... Or not harking back necessarily, but harking laterally to a different type of gaming experience that is very near and dear to many people's hearts. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not a D&D fan, I don't like turn-based combat, BG3 didn't work for me. I think that's too simplistic. It's obviously a component in it. Eggbirds is able to walk into this game and identify what's what in a way that I just cannot do. I've never rolled a D20 in my life, you know? And except, you know, in games, in which case I do it, you know, several times per second when I'm playing ESO, or anything else for that matter, anything with like critical rolls and things of that sort. But it is the way that it is deliberately trying to simulate certain aspects of that experience. Lawrence Schick, who was the lore master for Elder Scrolls Online, you guys remember him? The wizard guy, he's got the long white hair and the beautiful little beard, the forked mustache and the goatee, and this fantastic voice. Very, very lovely guy to listen to. So he was the lore master for the Elder Scrolls Online throughout its development, and I think for the first 3, 4, 5 years. He left in something like 2017, 2018. He was replaced by Lehman Tuttle, and now we've got Michael Zenke. But Lawrence Schick left because he was hired by Larian to work on Baldur's Gate 3. And Eggbirds and I were there in Amsterdam for the Elder Scrolls event last year, where he talked about... they weren't even talking about ESO, they were talking about tabletop games and the legacy of tabletop games which lives on in video games. And the challenge of adapting one from the other, because it started out that video games were just trying to copy what tabletop games were doing. And then, of course, once graphics got to it, but it was always going to be an inferior version. The advantage is you could just play it by yourself. You don't need a dungeon master. You don't need all your friends to come over. You don't need the rule book. It's all there in the game. So it was sort of a poor man's version of tabletop RPGs. That's a bit simplistic, but games have video games have diverged from tabletop so enormously since then. I mean, it started in the 90s, right, with the FPS really being a thing. There's nothing tabletop about that. And it's just moved further and further away, and there's still a great deal of crosstalk between them. Like, there's a Doom board game, for example. You know, it's like there's absolutely some shared DNA and crosstalk. But what I find really interesting is that this and other games like Pathfinder and Larian's previous games, Divinity Original Sin, they are returning at a time when I think there's been enough of a gap and enough of a gulf between tabletop games and video games that some people yearn for that to come back. And I wonder if it's a little bit like Marvel Cinematic Universe making an appearance and getting really big just at the time when the nerdy kids who read comics when they were young, you know, specifically Wolverine and X-Men and these things, are just at the right age to be milked by the cinemas. That makes it sound really cynical. I don't mean that. I mean that it is in the zeitgeist because there is a particular nostalgia or fondness. It's just a really interesting bit of timing. Like, it's very in right now. And obviously dissatisfaction with AAA games plays into this. This is very much a top-tier game, but it is not a typical approach. You know, Ubisoft, EA, these companies would never... Capcom would never make this game. It just wouldn't happen. You need a scrappy independent studio to do something like this. So it's sort of this... A little bit like Planescape Torment. I was talking about how it came along at the perfect time. 2 years later, that game wouldn't have been made. 2 years earlier, it couldn't have been made in the same way. Like, so it came along at the perfect moment where it could be born and grow into this amazing achievement. I wonder if there's something similar to be said for BG3. I mean, you could extrapolate that out and say all games, all films, books, everything that succeeds at that level fits that description. But anyway, don't want to look at this screen for too long. So let's... Nicey is saying, I really respect how they're trying to keep the tabletop turn-based thing alive in video gaming. Yeah. Your teammate is lying there, hearing at least. Brian Tog, I'm not a fan of Critical Role. Oh, you mean the YouTube channel? Crit fail should not be a thing. All right, yeah, you're not talking about those guys. You're talking about ROLL, not ROLE. But yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a cool thing to try and keep alive. But it's really interesting, right? It's like if, I don't know, if Total War, Warhammer, had been much more like the tabletop experience. They very much didn't do that on purpose. Because it's so much less cinematic. You sacrifice so much of what makes games mainstream appeal by doing that. And the folks at Larian were like, we will stick to this line a little bit. We'll dig our heels into the mud a little bit and stick to our guns on this.
Well, this game basically feels like Divinity Original Sin 3.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, only with the combat rule set of D&D 5th edition.
That's a real sausage fest. Hey. So he holds another piece of the thing we got from the owlbear. Interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, he got beaten by the owlbear, I suppose. But yeah, playing this game was super weird because this is the first game that is so complex that I immediately knew how to play because it plays like Divinity and D&D 5th edition combined. So I knew the rule set. The only thing I keep forgetting is that jumping is a bonus action in this game.
Yeah, right.
So I keep messing that up.
I keep forgetting about dash, which is so useful in combat. Especially when you've got like a melee party.
Disengage, also very useful.
Yankee lay their eggs on other planes. Cannot mature the astral.
That hit the spot.
Oh, we're back
So,
at the...
What is your quest log looking like
There's
at
nothing.
the moment?
It was super early.
Can you help? Did you... Oh, did you find Nettie already?
No, I just left the I just wanted to go around and kill stuff.
Right.
Should we find Astarion and kill him as well?
Oh, you could. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
to outrage everyone even more. So many people hating the fact that I killed the owlbear and the
Well, you
cub.
basically... Oh, Shadowheart survived for some reason.
Is she still
She's
there?
alive now. Well, yeah, of course. You left her there, but it looks like she got 8 HP now.
Oh, yeah. Is she back at camp then?
No, but you can click on her and see where she is. I think she's still in the cage. Cave.
She's
She should be...
What the hell healed her? Oh, it is the short rest. I took a short rest.
Ah, really? Yeah, that could work.
That obviously healed her.
I don't know. I never tried this, but in D&D, in 5th edition at least,
Oh, look at the little thumbnail.
you eventually wake up from being unconscious. Like, it takes 1d4 hours, and then you wake up with 1 HP, I think.
Oh, really?
It's probably not how this works in this game, but...
And LeBro was asking the Legend of Vox Machina. Aaron only saw season 1, need to see more. Brighthog, D&D is older than I am? It's very old, yeah. It's respectably aged, I would say, D&D.
Thanks for the confirmation on the D4 healing.
Yeah, but that conversation with Lawrence Schick was, I mean, it makes it sound like I had a conversation with him. That discussion with him, the panel with him was fantastic. It was so
that was really
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
And he basically made an impassioned case for video games and tabletop games as a connected but very, very separate things. Like, they are good at very different things. Oh,
Well,
she's
you
stuck.
could have as much as 5 death saving rolls because you have to either save them or fail them. Sorry, I'm just responding to chat.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I get what you mean. Like, you need either 3 successes on a death saving roll, which is a 10 or higher, and then you'll be unconscious with 0 HP, but then you wake up after 1d4 hours, or
The knowledge.
or you fail 3 times and then you die, or you roll a natural 20 and then you're conscious with 1 HP again, which is nice. Very nice in combat, which really clutch. Yeah. Oh yeah, and if you roll a natural 1, you have already 2 death saving throws. You failed. Yeah, two fails already.
What a charmer. Let's go.
All right, well, let's
But
get
I-
real. Let's get real then. I would just want you guys to think about favorite thing about this game as opposed to other games that don't have it or don't do it as well as. I would say story is probably one of the leading contenders in that category, but I won't give an answer. I haven't played it enough. I'm just saying, it could be the combat, the way that it follows D&D rule set in a sort of a more strict way than games typically allow themselves to do. It has principles. You could say almost. But yeah, whatever you guys think, I want to hear yours as well, Eggbirds. Obviously, start with you if you can.
Yeah, I think personally, what I think this game does really well is the interconnectivity of all its elements. So it's not as much the story. Like, if you just lay out the story isn't super interesting. It's good, but it's not like groundbreaking.
Right.
You have a tadpole in your head, get rid of it. But the fact that so many things are connected with one another, which you don't discover unless you play a couple of times, so that's also a reason to replay the game. There's just so much going on in the the foreground and the background, and things that happen in Act 1 that come back in Act 3, or have like their own story beat alongside every act. Yeah, so
you're almost
that's
making
really, really cool.
You're almost making the case for BG3 as sandbox, right? As a theater for you to do all these amazing things, and that it has built the systems to allow you to do it, and a story and characters that motivate you to do it and give these actions meaning, comedy, tragedy, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that
I would call Morrowind more of a sandbox.
Yeah,
than
it clearly isn't a
BG3.
sandbox.
Yeah,
it isn't. It's not that kind of game. But I can't think of a better word for it. You know, as a staging area for, hey, go have some fun. Look at all this cool shit we built for you. Go and do whatever, rather than, you know, play through this campaign or enjoy this story.
I was playing a multiplayer BG3 at a friend's house on his PS5, I think. Yeah, that's the latest one. And we were playing exactly on this where you are now, and I just went to what was for me the one way I always enter this ruin, and he was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Well, I'm just going into the ruin." He's like, "What? No, that's not where you're supposed to go." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Oh, I've never really gone through the ruins through that
this specific place." Yeah, because there are at least 3 ways in, aren't there?
1, 2, 3, 4 from the top of my head.
I love how I use the word sandbox, and immediately Eggbirds and 3 other people rush to correct me. It's not a sandbox game, Khan. I never said it was. I suggested Eggbirds as making the case for BG3 as quote-unquote sandbox, in that it is a, you know, yeah, no worries. But that is one of the intriguing things. It's actually a really difficult game to talk about, because I'm not just going to gush about how much I love it. I'm not going to sit here and criticize it. Where's Shadowheart again? Seriously, what is her problem? She's become completely disconnected from the rest of the group. Tell you what, we'll just go to camp to fix that. Right, so you played Divinity as well? Yeah, Maya and I didn't play the first one. We played Divinity Original Sin 2. It's very, very good. And 1975 is D&D. Interesting. They did have a pretty long development time. Oh, it's evolved in such an interesting way. Back in the day, Catholics called D&D the Devil's Game. Yeah, I remember reading about that. That's funny. Mostly in America. Probably, yeah. They said that about a lot of things. Yeah, we were talking about this, how the Beatles, back in their day, the Beatles were, you know, they horrified American parents. Alice Cooper did the same thing. Probably even Cliff Richard and Chuck Berry, you know? Horrified the cultural conservatives. Every generation has its weird random scapegoat. Or straw man, or whatever you want to call it. It's very true that Khan is occupied with the devil's gaming habits. Yeah. Let's go and murder Astarion and revive him, talk to him and kill him again. Yeah, if Eggbirds remembers exactly where he is, and he's sort of the other end of the map from here, isn't he? Oh, shoot, I forgot. I don't think I have a single lockpick.
At the ready.
And that's the other thing. The game, obviously, is only going to get better and better and better. The more you are familiar with how everything works, the more characters level up, and you have greater tools and more understanding of the tools. Can you smash it? Yeah, probably. No. It just says use. Yeah. My companions just start walking away at this point. But yeah, nice. As someone who's never played, the graphics are making you want to try it. That's a fair point. That's another reason why games have lovely graphics. It's not just to immerse and enhance for the people who are already playing, but so that now that Twitch is a thing, or trailers or whatever, when people see it, they're like, oh, that looks beautiful, because it does work on us. We know intellectually that graphics aren't anywhere near the most important thing, but they certainly help. Water and lightning do not work well, yeah. Brad, so I played the first one before the bigger ones came out. There are 2 or 3 games before the bigger ones. As you might get, I followed Larian for ages. Yeah, I remember picking up on them when the first Divinity came out, and it got crazy good. Like, really, not just good reviews, but like excited reviews.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I remember all that, and then Divinity Original Sin 2 got, that got even better reception from people.
Wouldn't take much to send that stone crashing downwards.
Can I just shoot at the rope, or what's the deal?
Yeah, or throw a fireball, whatever.
Let's use Matey Man.
May it please, Mistra.
You can also, I guess, you can throw something at it with the Karlak or something.
I love how the stone balances on the surface for a moment and then goes through. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, 4 ways in, because there's this one as well.
Yeah.
Hey, good looking.
Yeah, you should press G, Khan.
I saw all that.
And then, okay, cool.
I'm not really into backseat gaming, and part of the fun I'm having here is just doing everything wrong on purpose.
Right, okay, cool.
So I'm not looking for anyone to teach me how to play this game, moment to moment or in general. It's more about what you guys... I really want you guys to think critically about what was so good about it.
This is almost like an ad for a mobile game where you see the player play everything incorrectly, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
exactly.
triggers you to actually play the game as well. But yeah, so I missed a bit, but I think I'm not sure if you're still talking about what makes this game good.
Yeah, favorite features, most beloved feature, most unique, impressive, whatever. Just it's ultimately a very personal experience.
Yeah, I think it's what it does well is showing how D&D 5th edition works, at least from a mechanical standpoint.
Okay.
The dialogue and stuff, that is very limited, of course, but it still gives you loads of options. But the way the combat works is pretty much how 5e would do it, with some limitations.
Now this is my happy place.
That worked. I was wondering if that would work. The flamey sword. This is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Just and even like Dragon Age Origins had this at a basic level. Where you throw grease on the floor, you use something that is fire related. Doesn't even have to be a fire spell, but something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could be a flame enchantment or whatever. Or you could just knock a torch over in this game. And there are so many fun things like that. I think that's my favorite. The fuckery that you can get up to with the turn-based combat. That is that's something special.
Yeah,
You can't do that in real-time combat.
Yeah, that also speaks to the that is also what I mean with the interconnectivity.
Yeah.
I think Divinity has that even more because blood is also being manipulated and water could be turned into steam, and the steam could also be electrified, so you have like this electric steam cloud and stuff. But you don't really have that in 5e, so I get why that's not in this game.
Gotcha.
And the choices matter, yeah. So what Aaron is saying is also really good.
Yeah, I think choices mattering in video games is usually overrated, but mostly because it's not implemented that well. And much as I loved CD Projekt Red, I think their quote-unquote celebrated creation of choice in their games is actually not always that good. Sometimes it is excellent, like the endings of The Witcher 3, for example, are really powerful and motivating. However, I don't think it's actually always done that well. And from what I've seen, this and Divinity as well, I guess, but this is the most famous example of it being done super duper well. Like to the point where it's actually a feature which is worth talking about. I think that's a good one. Ice and water, yeah. Grease and fire, exactly. The only thing is you get burned as well, yeah. And so Aaron's saying choices matter, but most RPGs still reduce them to a simple good or evil paths. Okay, Aaron's already saying what I said. BG3 refuses to do that, offers every shade of grey, and even the best intentions can collapse if the dice or a fight goes sideways. No two players share the same journey, and many dive back in for multiple playthroughs just to see what else can happen, which says everything about the game's depth and storytelling. Yeah. I don't even need to have played the game to... Yeah, I don't even need to have played it to know the truth of that statement, I think.
Yeah. Once I finished one playthrough, I immediately booted up a new character with a totally different playstyle and different choices. Also different companions in the party to actually experience those stories. Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, there's a delivery.
I'm getting triggered. You're getting a delivery, but I don't.
Yeah.
One by one.
I'm trying to get out of line of sight. Force them to come back into the fire.
I loved doing this fight at the other door, and there's a lever where you can actually close the door, so you can shoot, close the door, and then they can go through.
you can do really cheeky stuff as well in the combat system. There is a game coming out. Let me just see. The guy's coming up to my front door. Let me check whether I need to go and answer it. Nope, we're all good.
Gale isn't.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, the fact that you can just not meet Astarion or kill him, or these are like very, very silly things to celebrate, you might say, but I don't know. I appreciate that they. I appreciate that they've done that.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate isn't too scared to actually confront you with the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
So So a friend of mine played a Dirge playthrough as a barbarian, by the way. So I don't think they're super underpowered or underwhelming. I think they can do cool things. But he just refused to let Lizelle in the party. He was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And every time she tried to say, like, hey, I can help you, he's like, no, I'm fine, thanks, bye. weird lady, yeah. And the game is like, all right, then we've given you a few a few moments to actually still accept her in the party. If you don't, fine. Then
she will leave.
You'll never see her again. Yeah, she will leave, and you will actually encounter her at some point. But then, she's not able to join your party anymore.
So I didn't think
And
this
that's
through.
totally fine.
Now I don't have the cleric in the group. But anyway,
oh man.
Yeah, it's a really enigmatic game, and I didn't want to do that thing where I try to poke holes in its popularity, or where we just end up sucking Larian's popsicle for 2 hours. It'd be much more interesting to talk about weird things, unexpected things that, you know, that the more you think about them, the more you're surprised that they work. For example, that's kind of my attitude towards this game. I think it is justly celebrated. I have huge admiration for everyone who worked on it and for the game itself. I think it's a delight, and it's a really fun. It's a really cool thing to have happened in the industry.
I am death.
I don't think that's.
It sounds like an impossible pitch, right?
Yeah, right. It's just so weird. It is. It is. I think it is okay to call it weird, and I don't mean anything bad by that. But it is an aberration. It's an anomaly. We're not going to see a game like this very often, and that is not just because of the industry and difficulty, but genuinely because of the choices made by the dev team, which are quite maverick, but also kind of, you know, backward looking sounds like a bad thing. What would I say? Very old school in some ways. None of these guys are falling for it. Oh, this one might.
Well, yeah, part is old school, but it's also just a way of playing games, which is still popular.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it's old school because it's a type of play that it's originally 50 years old. Although people played and looked way differently at Dungeons and Dragons as they do now.
Yeah.
So was it entirely different game? So yeah, but it is a really specific type of play that it is definitely something I agree with. But I have a hard time calling it old school.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that word either.
But, yeah.
And backward looking definitely isn't right, but it is.
Yeah.
It is part of this. It's the popularity of it, even if the development isn't a reaction to it. I think the popularity, the way that gamers have embraced this kind of thing. Oh, they're making a big budget game, which is like of that style, and they're just the delight with that, and that the sort of the backlash against the way that the industry is going now that the mainstreamification of games has happened, and we're increasingly hearing and seeing that the in-shitification, to borrow a term from the movie industry and the software industry, is also happening. You guys know that term, in-shitification? It's when
I know that term.
Yeah. So you guys know what it means, but I think that is it's worth using for the way a lot of players, like especially old school gamers who are in their 30s or older, feel about the way the industry has headed since they realized how much money they could make. You know, greed leads to regrettable things often. And yeah, I totally welcome BG3 as like one of the most standout examples of that, of the pushback.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Thanks for all your thoughts, Eggbirds and everyone else.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I think we're going to leave it there. For whatever reason, the stream just hasn't taken off today, and I have so much work to do that I'm sorry. I'm just going to be blunt. With so few people here, it's simply not worth me being here. Yeah, but we will... I absolutely wanted to do BG3. It is a bit of a weird one anyway. Like I said, what I've tried to do with Gamesfest is bring like a fun hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours of a game that I've already learned how to play. I've mastered most of what is needed to do it. I've got some like knowledge of the studio, their past experience, and with Larian I have all that as well. I know a fair bit about the history of D&D video games, but BG3 is such a gargantuan thing that I've always kicked that can down the road. You know, every time I've started and hasn't gone anywhere, I've deleted it and thought I will start again and do it properly. So that when it came along, we were doing Gamesfest, and I realized, shit, we're going to have to do BG3 at some point, and I'm really not going to know. I'm not going to be able to give the type of presentation I would like. I thought the best way to do it was to flip it around and get you guys involved, and I'm glad it worked, because you guys are very, very passionate. You're rushing to the game's defense, even when I'm not saying anything bad about it, and nerding out over the details and correcting me on little quibbles here and there. I love it. I love it, and I encourage you to think about, if it is a game you really did love, why. You don't have to do this, but I always find that a really interesting extra step. Like, why do I love Cyberpunk so much? What is it? I'm not always sure I know the answer, but it helps me to appreciate these things that we spend so much time on all the more, and the people that make them. And it's fun to talk about, especially with you guys. You guys are the best. So, yeah, Brad Dog saying it's fun for people who like it and interesting, and they also wanted to give wink to other games. So many details. It makes all other RPGs feel old and shallow, except for Planescape Torment. Maybe. Like, I feel like that almost has the opposite effect. I've felt like I was missing the whimsy and sheer level of detail. Like the fact that there's a random zombie walking around in the opening area. You can click on it and decide to peel back the skin that's hanging loose, and it'll reveal a serial number which opens an entire mini quest for you to do. Like, it's insane. I'd been playing the game for a while, Planescape that is, before I realized, oh my god, literally everything is not just clickable in terms of, you know, right click for a description, but often there is a thing you can do, and there are two things in the room which fit together. There are details and puzzles everywhere. I don't think you could really do that with a game like this because of the AAA production. It would just be too expensive. And that's one of the cases I made about Planescape. It exists in this perfect sweet spot where the graphics are there. They're just good enough to make it compelling and gross, because the opening area is disgusting. You feel genuinely grossed out looking around at all the blood and body parts everywhere. But the graphics weren't so good that your brain is outraged by walking up to 10 NPCs that all look identical, but just have different text that appears on screen. It's in that sweet spot where that was possible. You can't do that now, and it's one of the reasons games are getting shallower. And this is Larian trying to, you know, hold back the tide a little bit and saying, no, it isn't an inevitable slide in that direction. We can still do this. So yeah, awesome. You know, love us no more. Yeah. No, I'd love to stream all day, but honestly, if we've got 40 people, ESO category was very quiet when we started. The ESO category is not having the best time at the moment. It doesn't help that lots of streamers have jumped to Guild Wars 2 because they can make a few pennies there. I mean, I can't blame, I can't judge, but it's not something that I'm gonna do. Otherwise, this channel, that's taking you guys for granted. When we have a sponsorship or something like that, we'll look at it, but I'm not going to category hop just based on, you know, they'll pay me for being there, just, you know, $5 or whatever. I don't know. I'm not really into that. We'll think about it as we go, but we want to stay true to what the stream is supposed to be about, and Gamesfest, that has been ESO Plus trying to deep dive on crazy other stuff. But yeah, so Pieter, apologies, I do have to head off. Briartog, thank you so much for all your input as well. I have to go now, need a nap, as I'm too tired for Dungeons & Dragons tonight. Awesome, have a good one. And Erin also joined a D&D group recently, I love it. Which Torment did you play? A Planescape Torment, there's only one. The Infinity Engine game. Not the... I can't even remember what it was called, but there was some sort of a stab at making a second game a few years back. Yeah, no, but we're talking about the Infinity Engine, you know, the actual RPG game. Like, the new one, I don't know, does anyone count that one? It's a bit like Deus Ex Infinity War, or whatever it was called. Not Infinity War. Like, we don't talk about that one. Yeah. Played it, but not as good. Anyway, folks. With that, I will send you guys packing. Please do return tomorrow. We've got... Wait, I'm a little bit sad. Like, this is the most hyped game, and it turns out because ESO was so quiet. Or maybe because I started with the survey and people hated that. I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. But this has been our shittest day of Gamesfest for whatever reason. But it's Sunday tomorrow. Let's bring it back. We've got Dragon's Dogma 2 tomorrow. A much more obvious RPG than Baldur's Gate. And somewhat overlooked, I think, unfairly. So, interested to see what you guys make of that. But in the meantime, have yourself a lovely Saturday afternoon. Thanks again, Eggbirds. Awesome to hang out with you as ever. I will say hello to Maya.
Yeah, same.
Thanks, Briar. Shapeless saying, day 30 already, yeah. Thanks for showing us firsthand from your mind that you understand us. I'll do my best. I do my best. And I feel like I understand you guys and BG3 a little bit better due to the conversation. There's no substitute for multiple perspectives. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
Erin is not sure that it is overlooked. Yeah, I think it got big hype when it released, but we'll get to that tomorrow. I think because of a bumpy launch and a few issues, maybe doesn't get the credit it deserves. Anyway, you had to get a controller before I could even play it. Fair enough. You guys, take it easy. Look after yourselves. Have a lovely Saturday. I will catch you tomorrow. And let's see who we can raid off to.
Bye-bye.
Let's have a look at the ESO category real quick. Who's there? So I should have been doing this already. Or should we maybe stick with BG3? That might be fun.
I think you have plenty of options with that game.
Yeah. Oh, there are quite a lot of people playing ESO as well. Alright, yeah, let's stay in BG3. Actually, no, I literally don't know any of these people, sorry. I'm being very indecisive. We'll fuck it, we'll go back to ESO. We'll go back to ESO. Man Bear Nug is there. Let's go and say hi to him. And yeah, please stick around, stay in the chat, talk to him, he's a lovely guy.
Raid.
Yeah. And like I said. Oh, PG Brini. Sorry, bro, I missed that. But anyway, say hello to Man Bear Nug. I gotta go. I gotta go get Maya, but I will see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.